and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Second and 9, Stafford, look out from behind. Von Miller got him again. Sack number 2 for Von in a return to L.A. Third and goal. Allen keeps it, pumps, runs, breaks the plane. Touchdown, Buffalo. Josh Allen took care of it himself. This is deflected in the air, a third interception into the hands of Boogie Basham. Stafford goes for the tackle.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Friday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock. We've got you for the next 4 hours. A lot of football on the docket today, as you would expect. There's a Red Friday going on around the city today. You can get the Chiefs flags and the Ronald McDonald House and charities and things like that. So that is going on today, and it is it's a fun day. Fun day. We're talking some football. We got some college football we can get into as well with KU, K-State, Mizzou in action tomorrow. But a jam-packed show. We're going to hear from Lee Sterling with Todd Lebo coming up in about 15 minutes from now. And then we will talk with Andrew Whitworth, who is going to make an announcement today on our show that he is returning to the Rams.
To play quarterback. That's not fair.
To play every single offensive line position. No, Andrew Whitworth is going to join us because he is part of the Thursday Night Football crew with Amazon Prime, and that first game coming up on Thursday, less than a week away, that's Chiefs and Chargers. Even though the Chiefs play this Sunday, their second game is coming up on Thursday, and the Amazon Prime, not the debut of the regular season. They've had a game already in a preseason that they played and broadcast, but the full-on, this is now Amazon Prime's Thursday Night Football, in which they've spent billions of dollars to be able to do this, and Andrew Whitworth is a part of the pre- and halftime and post-game crew for the broadcast. And so I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Amazon Prime can do, because I know this, they will invest the money. They will put the money in to make it a top-notch broadcast. And sometimes those Thursday night games need top-notch broadcasts because the games are usually leave a lot to be desired, because there are some sloppy games early on, but just sloppy games when you play that quick, when there's that quick of a turnaround, and we know that. So we'll talk with Andrew Whitworth coming up later on this hour, around 10:40 or so, and we'll talk with him about some NFL, and a great day to have him on with the Rams last night and the Bills.
He was doing like the intro. That might have been the high point of the day if you were a Rams fan, was seeing Andrew Whitworth, like genuinely Andrew Whitworth out there welcoming the fans back. Everybody's got these beautiful rings. And then if you're a Rams fan, you probably should have just turned off the TV when The Rock came on.
That's right. Except for maybe like at halftime. You kick a 57-yarder, you're tied up, and you go, how in the world is this tied? All we got to do is just regroup a little bit, and we can win this thing, because we should not be tied in this game at all. They are dominating us, and yet still we found a way to rattle off 10 unanswered in the final 3 minutes of the game. And those were the only points they ended up scoring in that game. It was just an absolute domination last night by the Bills over the Rams. So we'll talk with Andrew Whitworth. Matt Derrick at 11 o'clock will be our guest. We'll hang out with him for the hour, as we do on Fridays from Chiefs Digest. Kendall Gammon, we'll talk with him coming up at noon. And we'll talk some Chiefs football. Also, big Pitt State guy. Not sure if you saw the amazing ending last night. Probably not, because people were watching Bills and Rams. But Pitt State tied 28-28 with 12 seconds left on their own 28-yard line, and they throw a 72-yard touchdown pass to win the game 35-28. So Kendall Gammon probably had a pretty good night last night with Pitt State. So we'll talk with him about the Chiefs and the season opener, things like that. Mick Shaffer will hang out with us later on in the show. We've got our Chiefs ZOUs today, so we will break those out, and we are not going to then take a run at me for coming up with these over-unders, because we are using DraftKings over-unders. So if you really believe in and say, well, that's a dumb over-under that's set there, that's an easy over or an easy under, well, now you can actually put your money where your mouth is. Not literally, because that would be odd, but you can put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings.
I disagree, because you know where you're betting on DraftKings.
What's that?
I'm using my phone. They have a great mobile app. You know what happens whenever I make a phone call?
What do you do?
Put my mouth up to my phone a little bit there. Look at this. All of a sudden, my money is where my mouth is.
Interesting. Okay.
It's all on my phone in the excellent DraftKings app.
I was going more with the old school, older generation than you of actually the paper currency.
Right. Don't put paper currency in your mouth. It has all sorts of diseases.
Yeah, that's awful.
Who knows? A lot of people have touched it.
Yeah.
That's why I launder all my money. Whenever I get cash, I just throw it in the washing machine.
That's right.
Throw it in the dryer. Big money launderer.
Yep.
That's always been a big part of who I am.
Big fan of Jason Bateman. You've always been. You drive to the Ozarks just to use their public laundry machines to put in the quarters. But how do you pay for the laundry machine when they're quarters? Are you able to do that with Bitcoin? Because that's got to be a real coin. You can't just take a Bitcoin out of your phone and then put it in there.
That is unfortunate. But I've got a workaround, which is that I have elbow length gloves that I put on whenever I touch the quarters, and so I can just full hazmat suit, long gloves, mask up, get those quarters in, and then I begin.
Makes total sense.
You know what I should say? I guess I begin washing my money.
Yeah, good for you.
I just Googled money laundering, and it wasn't what I was thinking at all. So I'm pretty confused, but. If the feds are listening, that was a bit.
Go check out the movie or the TV show Ozark. It's a documentary.
Right? Yeah, about how important it is to wash your money. I keep talking, Jason. I gotta Google some stuff.
I wish there were more money launderers that used a car wash to launder their money. Exactly. There should be more of that in the world. The car wash is the front, but is just the front used to launder the money so you can wash it and clean it. 913-912-4810 is the text line. We'll get the cuts before the show is over as well. We start off with last night's game, Bills and Rams, and just a dominant performance. I didn't know what to expect last night because, it's game number one. So who's going to look good? Who's going to struggle? If you told me that the Bills were going to turn the ball over, 4 times? I would have told you that the Rams are going to win. And I might have placed a lot of money on it. I would not have believed you if you said the Bills will turn the ball over 4 times and win by 3 touchdowns. And that's because that defense is freaking legit. So a lot of talk this offseason about the Bills and Josh Allen, right? Gabriel Davis bursting onto the scene, and he did with the first touchdown last night. But a guy that's going to take the next step, Stephon Diggs, we know that. How good the offense can be. But that defense is really good, and it's legit. The pass rush and the defense last night, 3 interceptions, 7 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 15 quarterback hits on exactly 0 blitzes. Next-gen stats, since I think 2006, there have been 3 games that have been played with 0 blitzes. That was the 3rd one last night, where literally they did not blitz 1 time.
Unreal.
And they hit Stafford 15 times, got 7 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, also 3 interceptions because they just simply said, hey, front 4, go get them. And Von Miller looked spry. He looked fresh. And that's scary. Look, I have no initial regrets of picking the Bills to win the Super Bowl, because they looked like a really dominant team last night. Now, maybe the Rams turn out to be a train wreck this year. And we go, hey, remember week 1 when we thought the Bills were unstoppable because look what they did to the Rams? Mm-hmm. And we've seen the story from the Bills before. They looked unstoppable against the Chiefs last year. And then they were pretty bad. And they end up being 7-5 after the loss to Tampa Bay in overtime. They've lost 1 game since, and that was to the Chiefs. With the 13 seconds. So last night was a really dominant performance, and I think the Bills are legit.
4 turnovers from the Bills. Cooper Kupp has 13 receptions for 128 yards and a touchdown. And this game wasn't close.
No.
Specifically to your point, after the half, they tied it up there, and even then I was looking at the lines and everything. I'm thinking, boy, I think the Bills at that point were like 1.5 point favorites. I was like, boy, it just really feels like they've been the dominant team here, and just some weird bleep has happened. And that is exactly what it was. If you had to force me into a Rams defense sort of position, I would say that Matt Stafford being kind of a gunslinger with a little bit of, I don't want to say recklessness, but recklessness. That's who he's been forever. I mean, he's not Alex Smith or Jimmy Garoppolo or whatever, right? He's got a little more juice than that, which helps you win a Super Bowl when it's working. The no-look pass sails on you a little bit, and all of a sudden, the mythos begins to dissolve a little. So I'm not necessarily ready to say that the Rams are going to finish third in the NFC West or whatever, but I'm pretty ready to tell you that the Bills are everything they've been hyped up to be to this point, which doesn't mean that they're unstoppable. It doesn't mean that they could not trip up or lose a football game at some point in the next several months. They will. They will not go undefeated. They will lose a game at some point. But it's hard to look better than that in a debut on the road, which you wouldn't have known by listening to the crowd.
Yeah.
But on the road, the banner-hanging ceremony against the Super Bowl champions, they blew the doors off of them.
I offer the knowledge that Von Miller was on the Rams last year and Odell Beckham Jr. was healthy at the beginning of the Super Bowl and Andrew Whitworth was playing tackle last year for the Rams. I offer that up before saying this. I think the Rams are pretty lucky that whatever happened at halftime for the Chiefs happened, and also that the Chiefs in 13 seconds went down and kicked a field goal, because I think the Bills would have beat down the Bengals, and then I think the Bills would have beat down the Rams in the Super Bowl last year as well. But you play the team in front of you.
Yep.
And that's what happens. And playoffs, and, Seren and Eric Eager have talked about, sometimes the best team doesn't win. 2019 was the Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl, and the Chiefs took it. 2020 was the Chiefs Super Bowl, and the Bucks took it. Last year, was it the Packers? Was it the Chiefs? Was it, at one point, the Bills? Right? And then the Rams take it, and the Bengals take the AFC. So we'll see what happens this year. But a couple of takeaways as well from last night. I know Josh Allen is tough, and he's a big dude, right? We've seen this before with Cam Newton, and
you are putting Ken Dorsey in the crosshairs after one game, and I think you're right.
Well, I'm
nervous for him.
But it's also not just Ken Dorsey. He's part of it, right? It's not just him. It's Josh Allen lowering the shoulder.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I get it. Last night, pumped up, game number 1, bleep you. I'm putting the team on my shoulders because the second half he had a perfect quarterback rating in the third and fourth quarter. He was brilliant in the third and fourth quarter last night. And he looked like he was just having a blast and knew he was the best player on the field, one of the best players on the field, he and Aaron Donald, when the Bills had the ball. But he can't pace for 170 carries this year. Now, Cam Newton, we've seen it before. He carried the ball 100 or 120 times the first 6 years of his career. He ended up winning the MVP one of those years, but then it started to fall apart with him. Shoulder injuries and things like that because it takes one hit. But he got 6 years of carrying the ball and being Cam Newton and having a strong arm and being a guy that picks up 600 yards rushing and 8 or 9 touchdowns on the season.
MVP Super Bowl appearance.
That's exactly right. The first that was the year 5, so the first 5 years, but another year as well. And so he had that, right? This is Josh Allen's, third year? Fourth year? Fourth year for Josh Allen? Fourth year, right?
He went into a chrysalis at one point and then came out as a butterfly, and I don't remember what year that happened.
Right, I think this is the fourth year because he was a year after Patrick Mahomes.
That would make sense.
So I mean, you've got some time.
Year 5, our brains don't work.
Year 5, like I said, year 5.
We started 11 games during season.
Yeah, year 5. So he's 6'5", 240. So is Cam. So that's one takeaway. One other quick one, and then we'll break because we're going to hear from Lee Sterling, and then I'm going to talk with Andrew Whitworth, is the part that we all acknowledge and love about Patrick Mahomes being a Chief and the big conversation over the offseason about Tyreek Hill and what do the Chiefs do without Tyreek Hill. Last night is a great example of one team that had an unstoppable wide receiver and another team that had an unstoppable quarterback. And guess which team won by 21? The team with the unstoppable quarterback, not the, oh my God, this wide receiver might be the best in the league. Cool. They lost by 3 touchdowns. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Lee Sterling and Todd Lebo next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
who's going to win and by how much. You're about to find out from national sports handicapping champion Lee Sterling on The Zone. Log on to ParamountSports.com or call toll-free 800-400-9741 to get started.
It is a Football Friday on The Zone, and no better person to talk to than Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. Because as we all know, I don't know if you've heard, gambling is legal in the state of Kansas, and people are having a lot of fun with this, Lee. I know I had a great time watching the games last week. You've been doing this your whole life. I haven't really done it as much because it hasn't been legal where I've lived. But, man, I enjoyed it. It was a fun way to watch football.
Just wait until you go to the games, too. I mean, to be able to sit on your phone and you can bet player props, you can bet quarters, first quarter, second quarter, first half, games, totals, you can do teasers, parlays. I mean, it just makes it so interesting. I've been to hockey games, and people are staying in the stands because they want to see if a game goes over or under in the last minute of the game. So I just think it adds excitement as long as you do it right and play within your means. It's going to make it a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and you got to get the edge too, which is what Paramount Sports is all about. What's your special this week?
Well, this is what we're going to do. Very rarely do we have big games early in the season, but I've identified some matchups that I think I have a big advantage. So we rate our games from 10 to 50 units. I have a very rare, how about get this, 40 to 50 unit selection. You want to get that selection 3 weeks of games from today all the way through September 30th, $297. And on top of that, I'm going to give you our UFC 279 card where we have a 50-unit selection and a baseball 50-unit selection for free where we're more than 35 wins and losses this year in baseball, and we mainly play underdogs. So this is probably the biggest weekend ever. Football, 3 weeks through September 30th, the UFC card this weekend, and our baseball 50-unit play, just $297. Just go to ParamountSports.com.
All right, let's break down some games. BYU and Baylor, this will be a Big 12 game at some point, right? But this is a pretty good-looking game. If you want to stay up late and get that late steam, this is a late one on Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah, so, I remember last year's game pretty well in Waco. So I'm thinking BYU, they're the better team. They'll be able to run and throw the ball, and they'll win the game probably by 7 to 10 points. Well, I couldn't be more wrong. Baylor dominated the line of scrimmage. They ran for 303 yards. That's a 6.4 yards per carry average to BYU's minuscule 67 yards on 2.8 yards per carry. Almost every offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and linebacker return for this game here. So I don't see much different happening. And then BYU's top two receivers are game-time decision. They are really banged up here. I like Baylor. I think the wrong team's favored. I think they win and cover 26-20.
And Kansas Jayhawks did exactly what you're supposed to do last Friday against a lesser opponent. Now they jump right into league play. They go to Morgantown. Morgantown in West Virginia is almost a 2-touchdown favorite here.
Yeah, and I was not impressed with West Virginia. I thought everything went right for them. I think they're a punch and Judy team here. JT Daniels, here's a guy, 14 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's all he's done in 4+ years. So I think that when I'm looking at this Kansas team, I think that they are much improved. They returned 17 starters from last year. They added 3 new starters from the transfer portal, also picked up an offensive lineman. They're also I think they've got enough offense to hang here, and might be a little bit of a hangover for West Virginia losing that backyard brawl game here. I think West Virginia wins the game here, 31-26, but I think Kansas is going to cover.
Yeah, Kansas is on the rise for sure. K-State, Missouri, this is an old Big 8 game. This thing's been on the schedule for 5 years before these coaches got here. So they didn't schedule this thing, but it's here now, and it's important. Eli Drinkwitz told us yesterday for recruiting because they recruit right here in Kansas City. Both these teams do. K-State's over a touchdown favorite, though. They look like the stronger team, but can Missouri go make this a game on the road?
So Drinkwitz has done a real good job recruiting in St. Louis, but he's got to start widening that recruiting path and getting some guys from Kansas City. And here's the problem for them. I think they're one of those teams that can beat the bad teams. They can't beat teams that are better than them, that are more sound. Now, Kansas State was not a passing juggernaut before Adrian Martinez came over from Nebraska, and they won't all of a sudden become one now. I don't think it's going to matter here. Even with some transfers on the defensive line here, Missouri's rush defense was terrible last year. They gave up 5.3 yards per carry. Tennessee ran for over 400 yards, and that's a passing team. So I think a team with a good line like Kansas State is going to control the line of scrimmage. Don't be fooled by last week's stats where Louisiana Tech put the ball up 45 times here. Missouri also do not like their defensive coordinator, Blake Baker. He comes over from Miami, didn't do much there. Deuce Vaughn should have a big game here. And if it comes down to special teams, Kansas State, number 8 special teams in the country here, should be as good as last year. So just thought that Kansas State didn't show much last year. And Missouri, just 2-4 against the spread as a road underdog the last 2 years. I just don't think they can push the ball down the field enough here. I like Kansas State. I think they double up Missouri 35-17.
All right, in the NFL, we've got some fun games. None much more fun, I suppose, for the people involved than Denver and Seattle, because Russell Wilson's going to play his old team, and the Broncos are favored in this thing by almost a touchdown.
I thought Russell Wilson was disinterested last year. He realized they weren't going anywhere. I mean, he missed some coverages. Normally, he figures out what they are, and he makes the defense pay. And I think he's going to be more on the ball here. He's got weapons here. Williams at running back, Javonte Williams. They didn't unleash him to the last 4 games. And, I mean, he was a one-man wrecking crew. He's got an undergraded group of receivers here. And Seattle's going to start 2 rookie offensive linemen. Can you say, look out? That's what they're going to be yelling to quarterback Geno Smith, who is an absolute journeyman here. I think Denver wins this game here big, 31-13.
All right, the Chiefs are on the road to face Arizona. Arizona's always good early. This line has moved a lot already. People are throwing money on the Chiefs, I guess, right? But Andy Reid's great in openers, but this is not a really easy opener going on the road to try to get it done.
No, it's not easy. Obviously the change is no Tyreek Hill, but they've got a nice group of receivers here led by Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and also rookie Sky Moore, obviously the best tight end in football. So I love the way that they approach preseason. They played Patrick Mahomes more than most quarterbacks, and his offensive line, I think, is going to give him protection here. And then on the other side, no DeAndre Hopkins. And when he didn't play, the Arizona offense really struggled. I don't think they have a back that scares you here. I'm going with Kansas City. Sometimes you got to lay it, even though you're hesitant even on the road. I think they win this game by double digits, 34-24.
You make a lot of Chiefs fans happy there. Now, these may not be Lee's plays. If you want those plays, it's ParamountSports.com, 800-400-9741. You've got a game of the week this week, and it was tough to watch Iowa last week, okay? But this is the Cy-Hawk Trophy on the line. Iowa's a favorite in this game. You like this one for your game of the week.
Yeah, I think I found a couple different matchups in this game that will favor one side. You want to get this game. We're off to a 19-11 start since the first preseason game. Love to have you. If you want to go for the season, use coupon code SAVE200, just $1,297 through the Super Bowl in February. You want to try me for 3 weeks? Use that same coupon code SAVE200, just $297, and it will include that huge 40 to 50 unit selection in football. We'll give you the UFC card for Saturday night and also a huge 50 unit selection in baseball. How do you get involved? Just one way, ParamountSports.com.
That's Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. More Zone next on Sports Radio 810 on a Football Friday.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
Is this really Jason Anderson?
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll hear from Andrew Whitworth here in just a second. He is with Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. It starts in 6 days. Pre-game, halftime, post-game, part of the analyst crew.
Any idea who's playing in that first Thursday Night Football game?
The Chiefs are playing against the team that loses their off-season crown because they would have already played a game at that point. So the Chiefs will be playing the former champs
Of the offseason?
of the offseason.
Good.
Now that the season has started. But I also wanted to pass along a little news in the NFL. The Ravens and Lamar Jackson failed to reach a contract extension. General Manager Eric DeCosta says, despite best efforts on both sides, we were unable to reach a contract extension with Lamar Jackson. We greatly appreciate how he has handled this process. We're excited about our team with Lamar leading the way. We'll continue to work towards a long-term contract after the season, but for now, we're looking forward to a successful 2022 campaign. This is, to me, going to be a unique situation because I don't know how many quarterbacks will take the route that Lamar Jackson is taking, especially somebody who, again, we've talked about, if he's putting his body in harm's way, how healthy he can be long term. He did miss games, for the first time last year. The franchise tag next year would be $45.5 million for that 1 year. So if you play this year on the 5th year option, which is what he's doing, and then next year, if they franchise you and you don't come to an agreement, you're still going to make $45.5 million next year. But I don't know that we'll see another quarterback that's a first rounder that teams view as their franchise and say, we're not going to be able to work out a deal before that 5th year. It's just not going to work out, and we'll go into that last year, 5th year option, and then use the franchise or try to extend them long term at that point, because it kind of feels like, okay, here's the going rate, here's the contract, let's move forward. You're now one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's call it a day. And I think that's going to happen next summer with Herbert and Joe Burrow.
Right. You don't see quarterbacks get to this point almost ever unless you're not sure about them still.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has an MVP and has been a really a transcendent, incredible talent in this sport. The stylistic questions, I think, are reasonable in some cases of just how is his game going to age, how will he evolve, and all of that. But it would be foolish to have any questions about the quarterback he is right now. And maybe the Ravens are trying to keep their long-term future in mind. Maybe him representing himself in negotiations has made things more difficult. Who's to say? But it is a very unique spot. And frankly, I mean, Lamar Jackson is going to have a chance to make more money in one season probably than any NFL player ever. If he has another MVP campaign, good luck.
Yeah. 913-912-4810. We'll talk with Matt Derrick coming up at 11 o'clock. Chiefs Digest. We'll hang out with Mick Shaffer. We got Kendall Gammon. We'll talk with him at noon about the Chiefs and Cardinals game on Sunday, 3:25 on CBS there in Arizona. So that's all coming up. We got the cuts. We got ZOUs today as well. Some predictions for the season, divisions, and champions and things like that. But wanted to pass along the information with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, let's talk with Andrew Whitworth joining us here with, Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime. Andrew, welcome into the show. Are you used to being introduced as a broadcaster as opposed to Andrew Whitworth, tackle, offensive lineman for Bengals Rams?
You know what? I'm trying to get used to it. I tell you what, Jason, it's one of those things. I called my mom 2 weeks ago on our way to go to the Houston Texans-Niners game. I told her I had to get off the phone because I had to make it to hair and makeup on time. And she said, you know what, son, I never thought I'd ever hear you say something like that to me. But, you're in a new world, that's for sure.
It's like, look, it's the show business version of getting taped up and getting ready for the game. You get the ankles and the wrists taped up and everything. This one, you're just applying a little foundation. That's all. Nothing wrong with that.
That's right. And I don't have any hair, so the hair person doesn't have much to do.
You're good. Maybe just take away if there's some shine that might happen here to try to figure out a way to get rid of that. What was last night like for you? I mean, the celebration, all of that stuff, but then you're watching a football game in which you're no longer playing. What were the emotions like for you last night there with that Rams-Bills game?
You know, it was fun to get to be a part of the pregame ceremony and MC our banner drop. I mean, that was an amazing experience. A lot of great energy up there with our ownership group and leadership in the front office, and then also the Watts Rams. That part was fun. And then, you know, I'll be honest, it was a little weird. I was sitting up there in the suite in the owner's suite and got to kind of hang out with everyone there. But at first, in the first half, really, it was hard for me to go outside. I kind of sat inside the suite and kind of watched it on the screen and listened to it from afar. It was hard to walk out there and just sit as a fan for the first part of the game. I really kind of just the emotions and like you don't want to watch, but you want to watch. There was a lot of emotion in it. I'll say it that way. But it was fun to be there, and obviously just great to see all the fans and see everyone that really has been a part of my time here as a Ram. It was good to just hang out and be a part of that night.
Andrew Whitworth is our guest. 16 years in the NFL, Super Bowl champion, 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, and Walter Payton Man of the Year with one of the best speeches that we've seen at the ESPYs. It was really awesome to see that. You're now a part of the Amazon Prime crew with Thursday Night Football. How did this sort of come about? Was this part of, okay, when I retire, this is going to be the next step of my career? Did it just happen organically after you retire and I know some different networks reaching out to you? How did it come about to where Amazon Prime is where you landed in getting ready for Thursday Night Football, the first one with Chiefs and Chargers next Thursday?
Yeah, I think for me, really, the quick version is that over my career, doing different opportunities for either TV spots or radio, I just always got feedback that people really thought I'd be great at this when I was done playing. And so it was always something kind of in the back of my mind. And then, the season goes how it is, and we make the playoffs. And I know with me and the family, at least me and my wife, we made the decision this was it, and this was kind of our last ride. And so you start thinking about what you'd want to do next. And obviously I've been asked to coach for a long time now. And be involved in the organization. I think we've had those conversations with the Rams for a few years now of what that would look like when I get done. But, I think when I sat back and said, you know what, I'd like the freedom to be around, to coach my kids, to kind of be a part of their lives more, during the day, but then also have these opportunities to still cover and talk about the game I love and all the things that, look, football is amazing. I've accomplished a lot in it, but, man, it's given me a lot, and we've given it a lot. And I want to keep talking about what it does for players and their lives and their families and everything else. So, to me, I was just once I kind of sat down and pondered on it, I was like, you know what, this is what I'd love to do. And so I sat down with a lot of networks. There was a lot of great offers, but I just thought it was going to be such a special opportunity. This was number one on my list to be a part of this Prime Video and NFL on Prime. I'm so excited about it. Our team is awesome. There's some great energy, some great people from a lot of different walks, and so it's going to be fun. We're going to create a new energy and a new thing every Thursday night, and we look forward to it.
Andrew Whitworth is our guest. Are you part of pre, half, and post with the crew and
I'll be,
your responsibility?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. I mean, I think every week is going to look a little different. I mean, I think that's the fun thing of being the first streamer to ever have an exclusive package of NFL games, right? You get to kind of do things your way. And so I think that's what really was exciting for all of us when we sat down and talked about this opportunity, whether it be Tony Gonzalez or Richard Sherman or Ryan Fitzpatrick and Carissa and Taylor Rooks and Michael Smith and all the crew that'll be a part of kind of the pre, post, all that stuff. I mean, this opportunity to do something different and to try and do it our way. So I think I'll do pregame, postgame, halftime. You never know. It might be all the above, none of the above, one of the above. So it's one of those things that, every week will look a little different in how we do it, and that's going to be the fun part about it. It's just trying to create something people love and get feedback and create a new product, a new thing. And I think that's what's really going to be great energy and keeping it refreshing and something fun for viewers to watch in all different ages and everything else.
Prime subscribers already have the package to where you can watch the games. If you're not a Prime subscriber, it's a 30-day free trial. You can sign up now for that. But you get all those games coming up on Thursday nights this year with Thursday Night Football, and starts off with an awesome one with Chiefs and Chargers. They both have a game this week, and obviously before that game gets rolling, but it is the home opener for the Chiefs as well. Are you guys going to be traveling? Like, do you go on location with the broadcast or just in the set? You said it might be different every single week, and maybe that's part of being different every single week.
Yeah, no, we'll be traveling. We'll be on site. I think that was one of the things also that to me was really intriguing about the opportunity to be able to go in these arenas. I mean, I've only ever entered them as a player. A lot of times you're just in such tunnel vision that, you know, you hardly even notice anything about the stadium because you're locked into just playing the opponent you have or the guy you're facing. So it's one of those things that I thought that was going to be really cool. We'll be on site, down on the field for pregame and post-game and halftime. So it's going to be, you know, great energy and atmosphere. I mean, starting off Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers. I mean, I can't wait. I've always enjoyed Kansas City's one of those places, man, you circle. If you ever get the chance to play there, it's like, man, you're so excited just to go there. The energy, the passion of those fans, it's second to nobody. So I can't wait for this game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And the random coincidence of your career, your NFL career debut is at Arrowhead Stadium, and now your broadcasting debut is at Arrowhead Stadium. You got that connection now.
That's right. And you know what? You actually just brought that up, and I don't even think I realized that. So that's pretty special. I can remember being a young player in Cincinnati and us watching the opening day videos of the planes flying over and all the highlight videos they would do to get you fired up for opening game, and now to be opening my broadcast media career there, it's going to be a lot of fun.
What's that? The Chiefs have a lot of rookies. It's been one of the themes we've talked about this year, Andrew, is the rookies on this team. When you think back to, you know, your rookie year and game number one, what was that like for you, and how much did you really not know that you didn't know at that time of being a player and going in with sort of not necessarily eyes wide open, of just simply not knowing what your career was going to be like?
Yeah, I think that's really the fun part of being a rookie in the NFL, is that if you can embrace just, hey, you don't need to know everything. Just go out. I think for these young Chiefs players, go out and play with passion within the system they give you the rules to play, and just let it loose. Because I think as a young player, you can get caught up. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to make a mistake in your mindset. And that's what leads to mistakes, because you're constantly just trying to hold back a little bit, hoping that you're not messing things up. And if you can just, hey, nail what it is you're supposed to do and just go after it. Just put your head down, attack, play physical, aggressive football. That's how you got to where you were at in the first place. I think that's the key, because when you see young players get rattled or make that mistake, that's usually when they let one mistake lead to many more mistakes. And that's the problem, is can you just be, hey, I'm going to make my mistakes, but I'm just going to relentlessly play this entire game. And that's going to be key. If they've got those young players in that mindset that they're prepared to realize mistakes are going to happen, don't worry about that. Just play. I think that's going to be really key for their young players.
You can only go by the experience that you had in your career, but is there a different level of maybe even nerves if you're joining a team that has expectations of being really good that year, like the Chiefs are? You joined the Bengals after, you know, one of the more unfortunate things with Carson Palmer the year before, but still a lot of expectations and hopes for what the Bengals were going to be that year, and you joined them. Is there an extra sort of nerves, and I don't want to be the one that messes up because this is a team that has division, playoff, Super Bowl aspirations?
Yeah, I think there really is. And I think, you know, guys are lying if they don't say prime time football doesn't matter, too. When it's night game, it's on TV, you know, more people are watching, first stream game ever. I mean, that stuff, they're all on social media. They're reading it. They know it. They know it's out there. They know the pressure's there. They're going to feel it. And that's why, to me, exactly what I said, just to be able to check out and say, hey, you know what, I just need to go play football. And that's going to be really key, because I know as a young player walking into Cincinnati, I always said, every interview I did as a rookie, I would always stop reporters when they said, you're playing really well as a rookie, for a rookie. Or I would say, no, like, I need to play well for a player on this team. If I'm a starter on this football team, I need to play well for being a starter on this football team. Like, I don't want to be referred to as a guy who plays good as a rookie. I want to be a good football player. And so I think that having that mindset that, like, it's not about me being young and me making mistakes. It's about me going out and attacking success regardless of what year I'm in my career. I think that's going to be really key. But you're going to feel the pressure, and you're going to feel it. I can remember my first start on Thursday Night Football was Terrell Suggs and the Baltimore Ravens when he was at the height of his career. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't have some nerves in that locker room before that one kicked off.
Absolutely. It makes sense. Andrew Whitworth, 16 years in the NFL, now starting his broadcasting career. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime gets underway 6 days from now with Chiefs and Chargers. Andrew, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in starting your broadcast career, and looking forward to these broadcasts on Thursday night with Amazon Prime. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank y'all so much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. There's Andrew Whitworth, one of the best. I mean, offensive lineman, certainly, but Walter Payton Man of the Year, the speech he gave was just unbelievable. One of the best that you'll see. So, yeah, he'll be a part of the crew with a lot of different guys that are there. Tony Gonzalez there, Richard Sherman. Trying to think of who else is on this. There's like 5 or 6 guys.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus in particular. I don't have anyone in mind, but some former players just start talking about their experience, what they're looking for in upcoming games, and you just hear them differently.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Whitworth is going to be one of those guys. What an incredible natural at talking about this game that he knows so well, everything that goes into it. Really good stuff. I'm excited for him to be on this broadcast.
And people have talked about, like, once he retired, and he even said it there. The networks came, there were a lot of good offers, because that was the report, is every network wanted Andrew Whitworth.
Those hair and makeup demands, though, must have been steep.
Does he tape up before the broadcast, too? I'm not sure.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Oak Ridge Medical Clinic.
Full Moon Productions is seeking part-time actors positions for The Edge of Hell, The Beast, and Macabre Cinema Haunted Houses. Go to Full Moon Productions' website for details and an application. The NFL season began last night in Los Angeles when the reigning champion Rams hosted the Buffalo Bills in what turned into a 31-10 blowout for Buffalo in a game with 7 total turnovers. The Chiefs kick off their season in Arizona on Sunday, and so far the injury report looks good for Kansas City, as Frank Clark was the only player to miss Thursday's practice as he was out with an illness. The Cardinals saw cornerback Trayvon Mullen, defensive end J.J. Watt, and tight end Zach Ertz all miss Thursday's practice. Marcus Golden, Rondale Moore, and several others were limited. Tonight, for real this time, Daniel Lynch takes the mound for the Royals as they begin a weekend series with the Detroit Tigers. Matt Derrick is next here in The Zone. I'm Joshua Brisco. This is SportsCenter.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Bonjour, Laurent. That's not the best my French accent can do.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I will continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Coming up at noon, Kendall Gammon will be our guest. Coming up here in just a little bit, Matt Derrick will be our guest, Chiefs Digest. What are you smiling about? You excited that you finally got the Royals are playing tonight?
No, sometimes I wish that the things that weren't on air were on air just to be recorded, because no one will ever believe me when I say out of context that Beards in my headset as the music was playing said, "You're incredible." And I just wish I had Beards saying that I'm incredible recorded somewhere, because no one will believe me if I just tell them. Sarcastic or not, it sounded genuine, and I'm going to go ahead and tuck that one away in my heart.
I think the fact that it sounded genuine was the point of it being sarcastic.
Definitely. Yeah, I would not mistake it for genuineness in real time, but in a line or out of context or something.
It was presented as he was really wanting you to believe that he thought you were incredible, while knowing that he's just simply saying, "Oh, awesome, bragger." Because all you did, because people didn't hear it, you go to break and you're like, "Beards, did you give me a 10-second in my ear when I was talking? Because I didn't hear it. And if you did, I didn't hear it. But if you didn't, man, I am really good because I timed that out perfectly."
And that's just what happened. I was doing the Sports Center.
Yeah.
I'm still relatively new at the Sports Centers. I never know what day the Royals are playing, apparently. Today I threw a dart and I got it. Daniel Lynch is actually starting tonight. I mean, what an incredible day for me to just randomly pick a Royals pitcher. Yesterday I said it was going to be Luke Hochevar, and in a series that started yesterday. Neither one of those things were true. So I just was riding a good wave, and I wanted Beards to know, like, hey, I didn't. If you sometimes talk back, you know this, Jason. Say, hey, if you're trying to give me a little 10-second warning, I didn't hear it, something didn't work with the button, or Beards, if you just were the one that made a horrible, really incredibly flawed mistake, people won't even know because of how good I am at my job.
You're incredible.
Yes! Put it in the cuts, Beards! No, email me that so I can make it a text tone. So every time Jason texts us, it'll just be him saying, "You're incredible.
You're incredible. You're incredible. You're incredible. You're incredible. You're incredible." Are you going to get that, Josh? You're incredible. You're incredible. You're incredible. Send it to voicemail or something. Anything, please.
Well, now I have to do this and leave my phone ringer on during the show and see if somebody calls me or something.
I'll just call you randomly.
Hi, I'm here with
just to help you out.
with all-time NFL offensive tackle Andrew Whitworth. You're incredible.
You're incredible. You're incredible. You're incredible. Matt Derrick is hanging out. Speaking of incredible,
Matt, you're incredible.
Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest, is with us as well. What's up, Matt? How are you, man?
My internal clock is a little off today.
Oh,
I'm on this clock today.
You're fine, man.
This one over here is.
He had a Sports Center. Then we had Beards and him talking to
about how incredible we are,
loving each other up about you're great.
Come on,
you're great.
You're
okay,
I can settle this. Beards is great.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you, Matt.
All right, you hang up. No, you hang. Oh, okay, we hang up on 1, 2, 3. You didn't hang up either. Oh.
Gotta gas up the homies, Jason.
That was you. You shouldn't have let the world gas me. It's too late because I'm here to stay in these girls. Matt Derrick is with us here on Sports Radio 810.
How'd you send her back to her boyfriend?
Was there a handprint?
I believe there's a handprint.
Oh, interesting.
We're quoting Jack Harlow lyrics to each other. If you're wondering what level Jason and I are at relationally right now.
Because I've been confused. I have no idea who that is. So
he doesn't clear up rumors. Where's your sense of humor? Yeah. He's done making jokes because they got old like baby boomers.
Yeah.
Matt, how are you, man? I hope you're doing
well. What's popping?
I hope you're doing well.
Just popped in. I got
What's
options.
popping? Like little
past
poppy?
that, whoop, like Stockton. Just Joshin. That's my name. I like that part.
His name is Matt, and he's going to talk with us here. We talked with Andrew Whitworth. Now we talk with Matt Derrick.
We also started by reciting our favorite Jack Harlow lyrics to Andrew Whitworth. He was very confused because he picked up the phone, and all of a sudden we were just doing. I was actually doing the Lil Wayne verse from the remix. You know, it's a great.
As you should.
What's bracken?
Yes, as you should.
I don't know what that means.
Let's start with, we'll obviously talk a lot of Chiefs with you, Matt. Let's start with last night. I've picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. We'll do our official predictions today. Not that it'll change with me. I'll just, have even more confidence in my selection of Bills to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game in Buffalo. And then to win the Super Bowl. They were really good last night. One thing about week one, and college football always does this in week one, and I think to a degree the NFL as well, in that we learn so much more about what the real takeaway of week one is in like week 8 or 9. When we look back and we're like, okay, like last year, Jacksonville, who did they beat in week 1? Was it the Titans?
That seems perfect. I don't know, but the Jags beating the Titans in week 1 last year feels like a thing that happened.
I'm pretty sure last year, week 1, the Jags.
Can't roll it out. Yeah, that sounds
the
like
Jags'
it was
only win of the season was in week 1 last year against. Nope, not last year. Maybe there was another year. Was it the Texans then? Maybe
some point in the past.
The Jags started and they beat the Dolphins in October, so that was there.
So who was it then that?
On Genius.com here, I've clicked, so I wanted to make sure I didn't say something horrible. In typical Lil Wayne form, he replaces the C in Kraken with a B, as it's commonplace for Bloods to do with words that begin in C due to their rivalry with the Crips. Just in case anybody was wondering what Genius said about the word bracken.
No, I wasn't.
I was just trying to stall because
all right, schedule.
I can't
and
read
results.
many more of these lyrics. And eventually, it's going to get not safe for radio.
Schedule and results.
Oh, we're past that point.
2021. Now I got to go through what week 1 was and what the crazy win was.
This Lil Pop. I almost said Lil Poppin' because I'm thinking about Isaiah Pacheco and what's poppin'.
When you said Lil Poppin', all I was thinking about was Lil Poppin'.
I
like just calling him. I like calling him just Pistachio in the style of Travis Kelce. That's still my favorite. Just the one little clip of him going, "Look at that guy the ball, Pistachio."
Put some respect on that man's nickname. Come on.
Here's I want to make this very clear publicly. I love all of his nicknames. I just want to use all of them.
They're all awesome.
They're all great. I think there's a third. I think there's maybe it's that I can't spell
Pops,
Isaiah also.
Poppy,
Pops.
Pop. Yeah.
I haven't been calling him Pops.
Interesting.
Lil Poppy's great.
Not sure what I was thinking of in week 1 last year. I thought
is
for sure.
Jason still here?
Yeah, sorry. I was looking because I'm like, was it Houston beating Jacksonville last year in week 1? No. I can't imagine that would be the thing. Well, it's like, well, you never know what you're going to get because look at this Houston Texans team.
That was pretty impressive because we thought, the Texans were going to be 0-17. So
I just read
they
one
ended up winning 4 games though. Anyway, last night Buffalo and the Rams. I had a number of takeaways in the first segment. We had a couple of texters that also texted in and said, "Okay, was that the Bills really good or are the Rams suspect?" We only have the data from last night. So what did you see in that game? Because obviously, Bills and Chiefs are going to be 2 teams atop the AFC that are going to be going back and forth.
Maybe I'm being cynical here, and certainly my philosophy that the Bills are going to be good and that they're hungry this year was definitely supported by last night. I also saw 2 sloppy teams, and one was just a whole lot sloppier than the other. I mean, if you're Buffalo, consider yourself lucky you won that game because you're not going to win a lot of football games turning the ball over 4 times in a game.
Yeah.
And
certainly not going to win by 3 touchdowns.
You turned the ball over 4 times against the Chiefs. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. So both teams were sloppy. It was just the Rams were more sloppy. And, I mean, actually, if anything that game did last night, it reinforced my belief that probably Andy Reid's got a pretty good formula for how to handle the preseason because his teams don't usually come out and look sloppy in week 1.
It can. I've got my hand raised.
Yes, Jason.
Hi. I was thinking of 2020 when Jacksonville's only win was week 1 against Indianapolis. And then they lost every game after that.
You are allowed to forget what year 2020 actually occurred in. I'm not even going to try to get you with a foul on that one. 2020 happened 25 years ago and also yesterday.
Yeah. Because
true.
Right?
The Colts ended up making the playoffs that year. They went 11-5 that year, did the Colts.
Was that the Phillip Rivers year?
I believe that was
Right?
that was Phillip Rivers. Yeah, Phillip Rivers and of course Jacoby Brissett.
Right. Yeah.
here.
Sorry. I mean, was that the Jacoby Brissett year?
Yeah, I mean, idiot.
Was that the year they tried Phillip Rivers? Is my new question.
That's right. That was the pre-Carson Wentz.
Right.
BC, before Carson. Before Carson with that. I think a couple of takeaways that I had, Matt, from last night. I agree. Sloppy play. The 4 turnovers. I would have lost a lot of money if you'd have said, hey, before the game, the Bills are going to turn the ball over 4 times, and Cooper Kupp is going to have like 140 receptions, a touchdown, or 140 yards, a touchdown, 13 receptions in the game. What do you think happens? Well, I'm going to take the Rams to win. I don't know if it might be close, it might not, but I'll certainly take the Rams money line. Certainly wouldn't have guessed that they would have lost by 21 points. While there was some sloppiness there, I do think that Bills defense is legit. And I think Von Miller looks fresh. He's not an old Von Miller. Maybe he will be by week 15 or 16, but he looked fresh, and that defense looks like it's on a mission. And I gave the stat out earlier in the show that they had 3 interceptions, 7 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, 7 tackles for loss on exactly 0 blitzes. They blitzed 0 times, which is like the 3rd time in the next gen stats that a team has had 0 blitzes in a game. 0. And they did all that with their front 4 on defense. That's the worrisome and the scary part, because they can play the 2 deep, the shell, which is what they did to the Rams. Rams weren't running the ball. Rams weren't able to get anything going, and therefore that front 4 was just able to wreak havoc, and you never got them out of that base sort of 2 deep, and this is what we're going to do against you. Chiefs have a better offensive line than the Rams do, but I do think that's worrisome when they have invested money and resources in their front 4, the Bills have. And in game number 1 last night, it seems to be paying off in production on the field against the Rams.
And that's a pretty meaningful takeaway to me because, I mean, that Bills defense that we saw last night, that's not giving up a touchdown in 13 seconds. I mean, that's a different defense. I mean, they went out and they fixed some of the holes that they had, and they needed to. I mean, the Bills team that we saw last night, the turnovers aside, looked a lot like, what you saw as far as attitude-wise with the Chiefs in 2019.
Yeah,
that's a good point. As far as, it's obviously a very, very similar situation. I mean, Bills thought they were 13 seconds from glory. I mean, they certainly would have felt that if they win that game, they beat Cincinnati, and they, based on last night and everything, probably feel like they would have won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So it's a very similar scenario. I mean, and there's no doubt. I mean, that's the narrative for this season is that the Bills are hungry and are primed to get it done finally.
That front 4, their defensive line, they have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks that they've invested themselves. 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and then they went out and got Von Miller, Daquan Jones, and depth piece in Tim Settle. So,
there's also a non-stupid argument that they were playing without their best defensive player last night. They were starting a 6th-round pick in Tre'Davious White's spot. Ka'ir Elam was worked in partway through, and you would not have known that by watching Matt Stafford throw the football or the final score. I mean, just incredible. They didn't have Tre'Davious White in that mix.
And I think that's where that front 4 comes in because they didn't get exposed by those quarterbacks.
Speed up the game for your rookies. Absolutely.
Because you're putting pressure on the quarterback and you're able to stay in that 2 deep. You're not getting beat deep by anything. And if, you play the Leslie Frazier, well, you're going to go 12 plays to score here. We're not going to give up that deep play. You're going to go 12 plays, and we think you're going to make a mistake along the way. And they do. And you could protect a cornerback that way. Now throw in Tre'Davious White when he's healthy. Yeah, it becomes a little scarier. But again, we might find out, 5-6 weeks from now that, boy, that Rams offensive line might be the worst in football. Sure. It is just absolute trash. And
Super Bowl hangover.
Yep, and maybe Matt Stafford shouldn't have thrown sidearm and no look to Cooper Kupp.
7-10 at the end of the season and just doesn't click.
But they were, the favorites to win the West. Betting favorite to win the West. 49ers were the second betting favorite. So there's at least something to keep in mind and keep with that. One other takeaway that I had last night, and I think this ties into the offseason the Chiefs have had with Tyreek going somewhere else, Chiefs finding ways to maybe plug up some of their holes with the resources from Tyreek Hill, and the fact that, there's a lot of doubting of Patrick Mahomes and fading, and I think it's going to be scorched earth, bleep you tour for Patrick Mahomes. Last night, to me, was an example of a game in which one team had an unstoppable wide receiver and one team had an unstoppable quarterback. And the team that had the unstoppable quarterback turned it over 4 times and still won by 21. The team that had the unstoppable wide receiver had 13 catches for 140 and a touchdown. And they scored that only touchdown. So the impact of different players, and we understand it and acknowledge it here because we've been through years and years and years and years of quarterback play that was just subpar, inferior, or just better than average with Alex Smith, or even at sometimes average, to then Patrick Mahomes, quarterback unicorn, and you're like, yeah, okay, Tyreek Hill's gone. I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. Well, he's one of the best receivers in the league. Yes, he is. And we saw one of the best receivers in the league last night against one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and guess who was dominant?
It's all about the quarterback.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt Josh Allen's a better quarterback than Matt Stafford right now.
And it wasn't close last night. Was it game 1 that Josh Allen was just excited and he was carrying the ball 10 times? Or is that Ken Dorsey like, hey, you know what? We've got him. We're using him. This is what we do. This is our offense, Josh Allen. We're going to pace for 170 carries this year.
It's a little heavy.
17
it's
games.
a little heavy.
Oh, I mean, I'd have to look to see what was Cam Newton's career high in carries, just as a random.
Yeah, I don't know that I want my guy.
139 was his career high in carries. That was in 2017. He had 139 career high in carries.
I would have probably taken the over on that. So
yeah, I would have too. But here are his carries in his career.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 119 carries last year.
He had 20 more carries in his career high back in 2017. But just for context, I would have thought it would have been more as well. But here are the carries for Cam Newton in his career: 126, 127, 111, 103, 132, 90. He played 14 games that year. 139, 101, 5 carries. And then in 2020 with New England, he had 137 carries. And then last year in 8 games, he had 47 carries.
It's like 8-ish carries a game pretty much. So you don't see quarterbacks run quite that often, and when you do, it sticks. And probably half of those were touchdowns.
And again, that guy's 6'5", 245.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, 6'5", 240. So they're both built the same way. Eventually, you wear down. I don't know if it was game 1, he was pumped up, but he can't continue to just go shoulders and lower your shoulder and try to go at linebackers and things like that. And then I'm saying it'll wear down this year. You know, it might be in 2026 and you're going, okay, there's the wear and tear of Josh Allen. It's starting to show now, 4 years from now, but not necessarily in week 7 or anything this year, or week 6 when the Chiefs go up against him.
How many carries did he have in that game against the Chiefs where he just seemed like he went off for 20 carries and 240 yards?
Are you talking about last year?
Yeah.
He had the first game or the playoff game?
I'm going to read more Jack Harlow lyrics while you guys look up stats.
First game, he had 11 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. And then he had 315 yards passing and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. Playoff game, he had 11 carries for 68. So the 2 games,
carries in both games.
2 games against the Chiefs, he had 22 carries. 22 carries. I mean, but I mean, the fourth down right out of the gates, the first possession, 4th down, and that's what resulted in Tyrann Mathieu being concussed, was that 4th down carry by Josh Allen, the keeper, and his knee hits Tyrann Mathieu in the head, and Tyrann Mathieu's out, and the Chiefs have to rely on a game plan in which Spags said after the game that they had to scrap everything they had practiced, that there was a specific game plan with Tyrann Mathieu doing different things, and obviously nobody can do that on the Chiefs, and so everything got scrapped. And eventually the Bills figured out, what if we only worked the middle of the field where Tyrann Mathieu was going to be? And in the fourth quarter, they finally figured it out. And all they were doing was working the middle of the field, and they scored those 2 touchdowns. So I was impressed with the Bills last night. I don't know how good the Rams are, but I was certainly impressed with the Bills, and I have no issues with me thinking that they're the best team in the NFL with the way that they're built right now. So
I need to see a little bit less slop. But
I'm with you.
I mean, otherwise, I think they backed up all the other narratives that they're the team to beat.
But again, they turn the ball over 4 times, and the defense gives up 10 points. That's
pretty impressive.
The
defense is what makes you think that this is going to be a different outcome for the Bills this year.
One other NFL nugget: Lamar Jackson and the Ravens do not reach a contract extension, do not agree to terms. He's going to play on the 5th-year option. Go into next year, the franchise tag will be like $45.5 million. So he plays on that. I don't think there's a chance that Burrow or Herbert do that next year. Josh Allen didn't do that. Patrick Mahomes didn't do that. We see these franchise quarterbacks that teams say, this is the guy for us. They sign him, they get it done, and they haven't got it done with Lamar Jackson. Is it unique in that Lamar is just going about his career differently? He didn't have an agent when he went through the draft process. It was his mom. He doesn't have an agent in the NFL this year. He's negotiating his own contract or whatever. Does he feel like maybe he's being lowballed, that the Ravens aren't fully bought in, that this is definitely the guy for us for the next, 6 years or so?
I mean, the other factor with it, and that's really been the problem, this offseason, is Deshaun Watson. I mean, that's the contract. That's the problem right now. I mean, and until that contract becomes a clear outlier, other players, I mean, and for Jackson, there wouldn't be any reason for him to say, look, if a team is willing to give Deshaun Watson that, you better be ready to match that.
No one has to tell me where I'm allowed to get massages.
I mean,
I only use
and
one
he's also
masseuse.
a better quarterback.
He's a better quarterback. I mean, that's bottom line. He's a better quarterback without the baggage.
He's an MVP.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just, again, it might be on Lamar's side saying this is the number and that's the number I'm going with. But I do wonder if there's an element of the Ravens going, well, we're not going to get to that number because we aren't fully convinced that, like, if it was Patrick Mahomes, would they get to the number that Patrick Mahomes would be demanding?
Yeah, that's going to be the question.
I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that if it was Mahomes or even Josh Allen or something like that, and they said this is the money I want. Cool, there you go. There's the money because you're the guy for the next 10 years. I think there's an element of still questioning if he's the guy for 5 years, and do they go about building their entire franchise around this style of play? If they don't know in 2 or 3 years, they'll have that particular style.
I mean, I'm working under the assumption that the Watson deal is going to be an outlier and that no other team is going to lay out $245 million guaranteed to anybody. However, you're going to have to get closer. And, hey, if the Chargers, certainly in their situation, I imagine they'll get it done. I mean, there's no reason that whatever Herbert wants, you just give it to him. But Cincinnati's a different organization.
They are.
Cincinnati isn't the kind of team that just lays around saying, yeah, let me write a $185 million check.
He doesn't have it.
They don't have it.
His wealth is in the team. His wealth, he's a billionaire because he owns, right, but he's a billionaire because he owns the Bengals. He's not a billionaire because he has like 4 or 5. Like, it's not the Hunt family with oil companies and all these other things going on and other franchises they may own and things like that. Or, Kroenke and all the different things that he owns. Brown's wealth is the fact that he owns the Bengals. So where's the, okay, here's your $80 million signing bonus or whatever that we're giving you. Or here's, not even that. Here's the guaranteed money that we have to then put in an escrow account right now. So we're going to guarantee you $250 million. I've got to write a $250 million check right now.
That's why he keeps wearing that one same dirty dad hat with
you
his
think
suit. He's trying to pinch pennies for Joe Burrow.
You think Mike Brown is at home eating ramen noodles?
Saving up that Burrow money?
Just save some money.
Did you call him Mike Brown?
Sorry.
I started typing Mike Brown also. I was like, that's not.
It's not Mike Brown. I don't even remember his first name.
I was thinking about Paul Brown, and
I should have just stayed with Brown.
The Brown family.
The Brown family. Should have stayed with the Brown family.
The owner with the dirty hat.
Yeah, the Browns. Yes, the guy with the dirty hat and wears the same thing every day.
Googling Brown's owner also is not going to help.
No, it's not. So yeah, we'll see what happens next summer.
Wait, did I roast you for saying Mike Brown?
Yeah.
It is Mike Brown.
It is, I was going to say, you had me confused because I'm pretty sure it is Mike Brown.
Well, I got to roast myself, but hey, I can at least show you guys the picture of him wearing a tan, dirty dad hat.
Oh, yeah,
it's not quite Todd Haley levels, but clearly this is a hat he got for free.
Tan, dirty dad coat, too.
Yeah, this is a weird... Look, man, he was out there holding the Lamar Hunt trophy looking like a detective.
That is a granddad who just got done watching his team play or his grandson playing in an 11 and under soccer league.
That's right.
And if that's who you are, go with it.
Embrace it.
But if you're a billionaire... Maybe just get a new hat.
Right. See, you can't throw doubt into my confidence when it comes to names because I will almost immediately eject.
This is a great moment.
Javelin Guidry.
Right.
And then Kent texts in and says, I think it's Javelin. Well, I'm ejecting. I'm going to go with somebody else in their pronunciation. Turns out it's Javelin. Well, and we'll see what happens on
This has been a great
Sunday.
week for you.
You've been vindicated twice.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been, but I get it though.
If you're going to retire, this would be the week to do it on
an
Andrew Whitworth kind of level.
but I understand why there is doubt, and it's like, well, Jason's pronouncing it that way. Are we sure that's
always
the correct
assume it's wrong? It's true. We always assume it's
I think
wrong.
we're to go somewhere else.
I'll Venmo $1 to either of you if you can tell me, not you, Beards, but maybe you get to go last. If you can tell me what NBA team Mike Brown is currently the head coach of. Not that Mike Brown. That's why I googled Mike Brown, and this guy came up. I was like, Jason had to get this wrong, right? I can't remember the Bengals owner's first name.
Cavs.
Clearly, it's not Mike Brown. Okay, got a Cavs guess.
Sacramento.
Beards.
I was to say, is he the Kings head coach?
I owe Matt Derrick $1.
I know nothing about the NBA.
But it's the perfect guess for a coach that you have no idea where he is.
That was exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I know it's not the Cavs anymore.
I legit kind of thought Luke Walton was still there.
I think I could go through and name all 32 NFL head coaches.
Harder right now than it would be in week 8, for sure.
I think I could get 5 NBA coaches.
I think I got my one. I mean,
you knew Mike Brown's not going to Kings.
But not even that. If somebody said, who's the head coach of the Kings, you wouldn't have gone Mike Brown.
No chance.
No chance.
Right. But it's like word association, Mike Brown, who does he coach?
Greg
NBA.
Popovich is still in the league. He hasn't left yet, so I got 2.
1. Phil Jackson, Lakers. I mean, that's
I was gonna say, I'm sure Pat Riley is still the coach of the Heat.
Heat, Pat Riley. That's absolutely right. Bird, Pacers. We're right on all these.
You've gotten every single one of them correct so far.
Still in Boston?
Yeah.
Quinn Snyder's definitely in Utah. I know that for a fact. Quinn Snyder is never leaving Utah. That is 100% fact. Lock it up. Take it to the bank. Quinn Snyder, Jazz head coach.
Phil Jackson still with the Knicks. Don't forget that. He went to the Knicks, and it's important to remember.
I said Lakers. He did go to the Knicks.
He's still there.
Brad Stevens, definitely still Boston's coach.
Can I tell you my favorite single example of
LeBron's still the coach of the Lakers.
Yeah. This is my favorite example of, I really would like to lock this guy's name into my brain at some point. It is the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Do you know his name off the top of your head, Jason? I have done this bit before, and I've forgotten his name since then. So you're not being put on blast. You have a chance to flex. The name of the manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Tingle?
It is Torey Lovullo.
Oh, yeah, Tingle was with the Padres, yeah.
Here's the thing about Torey Lovullo. You might go, it's Lavello. There we go. Thanks, Baseball Reference. Pronunciations on this show. You go, okay, well, how long has he been there? Since 2017, when he was the manager of the year.
Yeah, that's why I said NFL. I didn't mention baseball. Didn't mention baseball.
How do we not? I don't. If you went gun to my head on like NL managers in particular, it would get messy in this studio. I think very quickly.
But again,
NFL wire to wire.
Think I can go 32. I don't know for a fact. I think I could. But I'd probably over under 28.5.
So what we're saying is
that's how much
we
confidence.
Do that in the next segment.
That's how much confidence I have.
Yeah.
I think I can go 32. But I'm going to set the over at 28.5 just to give myself some wiggle room of even getting 3 wrong.
I think you got 30.5.
Yes.
I really think you did.
We'll break down the Chiefs and Cardinals with Matt Derrick.
And name every NFL head coach.
Yes. Now, we'll break down Chiefs and Cardinals. The injury reports are out, and then also practicing today. What was the news? J.J. Watt not practicing today as well?
No J.J. Watt at Cardinals practice.
Or Rondale Moore, or guard Cody Ford, or Trayvon Mullen. Zach Ertz was out there, as was Marcus Golden. Golden was limited yesterday. Ertz was not out there yesterday. We don't know what capacity they're out there, but those 2 guys are out there, at least in a limited capacity. The rest not on the field, according to numerous reports.
And Marcus Golden went from DNP on Wednesday to limited yesterday and then today. So we'll see if he's full or limited as well. But yeah, Zach Ertz is back.
On the field, yes. Again, we don't know what the extent is.
Because the
I
Zach
think J.J. Watt, you could pretty much wrap that one up.
Yeah. And Mullen. And probably Rondale Moore if he's if it's a hamstring, like, well, we got to get an MRI to see the severity of this. Then it's not. We're just going to rest him a couple of days. But Zach Ertz is interesting. He's back there because he was limited on Wednesday and then he didn't practice yesterday, and it was like, okay, that's heading in the wrong direction. Maybe that was just a rest on Thursday for him. We'll take a timeout. We'll break down the game coming up on Sunday with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Let's go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Patrick. Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Hey, you're working with a new center now.
Yeah, he broke up. I don't know if that's just me or
Matt. We got you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, first team, who is it? First team, who is it? What coach? First team, who is it?
That gets fired?
What's the quiz? No.
No.
Start of the AFC West, Kansas City.
Is it still Todd Haley? I believe it's still Todd Haley.
I know this one.
Give him his cadoos. Is it still Romeo? I'm not sure. We'll find out, man. I asked this question yesterday. I don't know if you heard it, but speaking of like Andy Reid and going from Romeo to Andy Reid, do you remember how the first points in the Andy Reid era were scored?
Ooh.
By either team, by any, just the first points put on the board with Andy Reid as the head coach of the Chiefs. Do you remember how they were scored?
Was it a safety?
It was a safety. Isn't that amazing? Chiefs had a punt block that went through the end zone. They were down 2-0, and then they just whipped the Jags.
I was going to say, it was in Florida. I couldn't remember if it was Dolphins
the
or
Jags, but they were down 2-0. It's like, oh, no wonder Andy Reid was. Bart Scott was right 10 years from now that Andy Reid got fired for a reason. They're down 2-0.
I actually remember where I was when that happened.
Really?
Yes.
In Jacksonville?
I was not in
Sorry,
Jacksonville.
Matt. Breaking news from Jeff Passan. Major League Baseball's competition committee has voted to implement a pitch clock and ban defensive shifts starting in 2023. It's official 15-second clock with bases empty, 20 with runners on, and 2 fielders on each side of the second base bag, both feet on the dirt. Okay. The vote was not unanimous.
Okay.
Back to you, Matt. Players voted against the pitch clock and the shift restrictions. The vote for larger bases was unanimous. We're getting bigger bases. Back to you, Matt.
The pitch clock's going to be interesting. But again, I think that helps Brady Singer.
Where were you during that game?
Anyway, where were you
it was
on
not
the safety?
interesting at all. No.
Where was the safety?
I wanted to hear it.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just
I
in your
wanted to know
living
more
room?
about
I just remember where I was.
Where were you?
Which is weird
in your
because
living room?
usually it's like big moments that you say, oh, I remember where I was when that happened. I remember when the Queen died.
You remember?
I remember.
I remember that as well. Yes, I almost like it was yesterday. It's so vivid in my memory. It was almost like it was just like it was yesterday. You remember the safety because that's where you remember where you were when you said, "Yeah, Andy Reid, this is not going to work. This is a disaster already."
Actually, what I was probably thinking is, I've got to get a picture of this house with not any people in it. Because at the time,
we were come on, Matt, keep cooking.
It was in my public relations days with the Home Builders Association here of Kansas City. Produces I guess they've changed the name now. So it's the Parade of Homes, whether it's spring or fall. But this would have been the Parade of Homes. And every day on the first day, we go out and get a picture of all the winners. So we can put them in the paper and everything, and put them up on the awards and all that kind of stuff, and all the whoever won the award. So I was out taking pictures of various award winners. And I needed people to get out of my picture so I could take one without any people in it of the beautiful homes.
There you go. Matt Derrick is our guest. Confidence level in this team starting the season compared to the previous 4 years?
Ooh, good question.
I don't know if you want to put a number on it or anything, but just like in general, like how this team feels to you heading into the season versus 2018 with Patrick Mahomes, 2019 after the Patriots game, 2020 after the Super Bowl, 2021 after the Super Bowl.
And you have to consider the source on this one because I have grown increasingly confident in Andy Reid in the first month of the season, period.
True.
So, I mean, I think I was the only person to pick the Chiefs to win at New England back in 2017. So pat myself on the back there.
Yeah, nice job.
But I pick them to win every opener, and I generally pick them to go 4-0 the first month of the season. Yeah. I mean, I don't know they're going to be able to pull that off this year. And last year, I mean, I was wrong because they go 2-2. Mm-hmm. But I just generally feel like Andy Reid is ahead of the rest of the league early on, and this year I think that is even maybe more likely because with the personnel changes, I'm just not sure that everybody knows what Andy's going to do. And I don't think it's going to be the same Chiefs offense. I think they're going to do some things differently. Defensively, I don't know. I mean, I think Spags is warning us once again. I mean, he knows with a lot of young guys, you just don't know what's going to happen. So he's giving us that caveat, hey, it might be a few weeks into the season before they figure this thing out. Even Dave Tobe's saying the same thing because he's got so many guys on special teams. And I'm sure he's a little worried that, maybe there's going to be some overplays here and there and guys trying too hard and maybe a big play breaks out. But, I mean, I generally, I'm pretty bullish on Andy Reid early, and I'm bullish again this year.
Spags, you mentioned that. Spagnuolo said yesterday when he was asked about getting help with the cornerbacks, the younger guys, are you going to try to do some things to help them out? And he said, maybe a little help, but I'm trusting them. Like, I got to trust them. Baptism by fire, you got to live with rookie mistakes. And then he said, there will be those. Like, you got to live with, that's going to happen, but I'm trusting them. Like, we're going out, essentially, we're going to play our game. No matter if it's a rookie or a 3-year, 4-year, 10-year veteran out there, this is what we're doing. They should know the game plan. They should know the plays. They're professionals. This is how we do it. This is what's going to happen. And I do think there's going to be some frustrating parts. I do think there's going to be some elements of growing pains with that. But I also think there's going to be excitement and a level of fun in the ground the team can cover, how athletic they're going to be, and just the potential that's there in the defense, remembering 2019, how much better it got throughout the year, and then how good it was at the end of the season to really allow the Chiefs to still be in the game to make the comeback in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And, I mean, because you got to think that if you're Cliff Kingsbury and you're Kyler Murray and you're not looking at that Chiefs defense and you're just simply saying, hey, if there's a rookie on the field, if you see Trent McDuffie out there, if you see Brian Cook, challenge him. Go that direction. That's your first read. Go that way. Because you got to test those guys. I mean, that's the one thing you want to figure out. And, you know, and if the Chiefs roll with Rashad Fenton out there too, maybe that's a guy that you circle because, you know, he hasn't played as much. You know what you've gotten L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, he's been a full-time guy and everything. So I think that's the last guy I would challenge. But I think that's if you're one of those. I mean, those guys are all going to get tested early in the season.
Yeah, they should.
And I would expect the Chiefs to probably get tested a little bit on the ground too to see, you know, what they've got. Even though I think that's one area where if I'm an opposing defense, I probably got to say, I'm a little worried about, you know, this team might be a little bit better up front. It might be a little bit better against the ground game, especially with what they've got at linebacker right now. But I'm certainly circling all of these young corners because there's probably going to be some other young guys too to get some playing time, whether it's, you know, Watson or Williams. Probably see some snaps too. I'm circling those guys. They're gonna get challenged, and like Spags is right. I mean, they're gonna find out, but I think that his approach is probably smart, which is, you know, hey, let them learn. You know, you can't protect them the entire season. You can't change your game plan just because you got some young guys out there. You want to win something. You know, you're not trying to protect anybody. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. So
it's going to be a lot of eyes on the secondary in this game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just the Chiefs, on both secondaries because of the injuries that are there in Arizona, the rookies, the young group that hasn't really played together for the Chiefs. Doesn't look like Rondale Moore is going to play. DeAndre Hopkins we know is not playing. So it's A.J. Green and Hollywood Brown. And really, you know, the smaller receivers haven't necessarily been the guys that have given them fits. It's more like an A.J. Green. Did I say A.J. Brown? No, I said Hollywood Brown, A.J. Green. So A.J. Green type.
I got you, Skitter.
Thank you.
Skitterish?
No, I heard A.J.
second guessing himself.
I heard A.J., then I heard Brown as I was thinking back to what I just said.
I mix jittery and skittish. It's a whole deal.
Yeah, it's fun. But those are the two guys, and it's interesting, like the different body types of the secondary. And here's one of the things that I'm excited about, Matt, is we've talked all offseason about bigger receivers, bigger targets for Patrick Mahomes. He's doing that. He's trusting them. Like Spags is going to trust the younger guys. Mahomes is actually throwing some, you know, back shoulders, some not necessarily jump balls, not 50-50, but, you know, you've got your guy in a position to where he can just jump and high point it and make a play. The Chiefs go with MVS at 6'4", Juju 6'1", Watson 6'2", Hardman and Moore are both 5'10", but throw in Kelsey at 6'5" and Jody Fortson at 6'4". And the secondary for Arizona, they're top 5 guys. So really, I should say top 7 guys, not top 5. So 4 cornerbacks, 3 safeties. 5'10", 5'9", 5'11", 5'11", 5'11". Their 4th cornerback is 6'2", the rookie from Valdosta State, 7th rounder, and their 3rd safety is 6'1". to me, if there's going to be a game in which Mahomes is like, yeah, I'm going to trust MVS to go, I'm going to trust Juju to go do this, I'm going to trust this guy in a back shoulder fade. You know what? We're down inside the 10-yard line. I'm going to go and let Jody Fortson do what Jody Fortson's been doing for this Chiefs team, even before he got injured last year when Mahomes found him in the end zone. I'm going to do that because this secondary body type is not equipped to handle what the Chiefs now have, which are bigger bodied, taller receivers that Mahomes just really hasn't had in his career. I'm pumped to see what he ends up doing. Not just the secondary that's, battered and beaten up and is, subpar, but just the size differential that's going to be out there.
I mean, I think there's going to be a lot we learn about this Chiefs team across the board with the matchup on both sides of the football against Arizona, because I think it just poses an interesting challenge in a lot of ways. And that's even being said with the fact that I still think the Chiefs are just demonstrably better in all areas. But that's one thing. I mean, this is an Arizona team that the Chiefs should be able to run their game plan that they want to, which is, for lack of a better word, efficiency, ball control. I mean, it's not, I don't want to put game manager label on Patrick Mahomes, but this is a team that's fine with having these brutally efficient drives where you just march down the field and just taking 8 yards at a time. I mean, we're not talking about Marty Ball and 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, we're talking about just smaller chunks of yards, not necessarily playing for the 50-yard bomb.
You don't want to hand off to Donnell Bennett?
Don't need to do that.
18 times?
No,
okay.
Don't need to do that. So, but, I mean, this matchup
I don't know why Donnell
Bennett
Bennett just caught a stray L. Sorry about that, Donnell. If you're listening, he's a big fan of the show.
No, 3 yards is an insult. He'd get more than that.
Yeah, agreed.
But
they were good running.
I mean, this is a team. This is a defense that the Chiefs should absolutely do that. I mean, and if they can't, then that's going to be a concern. But I think this is a team that absolutely the Chiefs' new game plan. Maybe they don't have to throw out all their wrinkles early in Week 1, but I think we're definitely going to be seeing a little bit of the things that Andy Reid wants to do with these bigger receivers, and we're going to see them from the very beginning.
And I'm pumped. I cannot wait for Sunday, 3:25. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get Matt Derrick's prediction, what he thinks is going to happen in the game, the record he has for the Chiefs this upcoming season. We'll do that with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest, coming up next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Hey, you're working with a new center now.
Yeah, he broke up. I don't know if that's just me or
Matt, we got you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, Matt Derrick wrapping up this hour with him. We'll talk with Kendall Gammon. Mick Shaffer will hang out with us. We got the ZOUs coming up, some predictions as well, the cuts, all that still to come. All right, Matt, what do you think happens in the game on Sunday, 3:25 CBS?
I'm bullish on this game. I think that the Chiefs' offense is going to show some things that you haven't seen before. I think that the defense might have some moments, but I think they're also going to be creating some turnovers too. They're going to have some learning moments for these young guys. Overall, I'm bullish on this team. I mean, I know what the spread is, but I think that the Chiefs are going to beat it. I've got the Chiefs rolling in this one, 38-24.
38-24. All right, so you definitely have the over in the
I'm going
in the total
over on the
as well.
totals. So if you are on the apps now on the right side of the state line,
that's right.
Hammer it and don't blame me later.
I went Chiefs minus the points and under with that one. So I'm looking more like 35-14, something like that. We'll see.
You really want to be on the left side of the state line, not the right side of the state line.
Well, unless you're facing south.
That's a great point.
Right, but if you're looking like, you open Google Maps or whatever.
Unless your phone's upside down.
You can spin the Google Maps all you want. So you can manipulate this any way you want to. Matt, you're the man.
No, you guys are.
You're incredible, Matt.
You're great.
You
hang up.
No, you leave the studio. No, you.
You actually do need to leave the studio.
Yeah,
we got other stuff
No, you
to
don't.
do.
No, you can hang out. Mick Shaffer's going to be here at 12:30. Stay there. He can broadcast from the balcony.
You want to talk to Kendall Gammon next?
Let's do it. I'm going to.
This Sports Center is brought to you by Greenlight Dispensary. Check out their monthly Underground event this Friday and Saturday from noon to 8 p.m. The Underground at Greenlight Independence is Missouri's first and largest medical marijuana farmers market. Visit Greenlight Dispensary's Independence location at 3721A South Nolan Road, Independence, Missouri 64055. The NFL season began last night in L.A. with the reigning champion Rams hosting the Buffalo Bills in a blowout loss for L.A. 7 total turnovers didn't slow down the Bills. The Chiefs kick off their season in Arizona on Sunday, and so far more good news on the injury front as every player on the active roster reportedly took the field today. Wide receiver Rondale Moore, defensive end J.J. Watt, and cornerback Trayvon Mullen will reportedly not spotted at Cardinals practice today, though tight end Zach Ertz and linebacker Marcus Golden were back on the field in some capacity. I'm Joshua Brisco. This is SportsCenter.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Dude, it was so nice. The family was gone. Wife was out of the house. I was all alone. Opened up the computer and just got into the salary cap. Oh, what a night.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you to Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest, as we get ready for the Chiefs and the Cardinals coming up on Sunday. To help us continue to break that game down, Kendall Gammon joins us here in the Zone. He is presented by Freeman Health System, centered around you. Freeman Health System, your local hospital joining your circle of trust, and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. They're your Lawrence new and certified pre-owned Toyota and Volkswagen dealership near Kansas City, Olathe, and Topeka. Go experience the Crown difference at crownautomotive.com. Kendall Gammon here in the Zone with us. Kendall, what's up, man? How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Jace?
I am doing just fine. I'm assuming, I don't know if you were in Kearney last night, but I'm assuming you're probably feeling pretty darn good after that ending to the Pitt State and Nebraska-Kearney game last night with the miracle 72-yard touchdown pass with 10 seconds to go in the game.
Yeah, just crazy. Yeah, I almost flew up there, but had something go haywire. But did watch it on pay-per-view and or on the MIAA network. And, yeah, I mean, 10, 12 seconds left in that 72-yard bomb. That's the sophomore quarterback and Dotson. And just, yeah, it was a great game either way. And, I mean, even with being a Pitt State grad and being happy with that win, I got to give props to that QB for Nebraska, Kearney. How they got him there is amazing to me because the guy is just special.
Yeah, two really good teams, two ranked teams there in that game last night. We expect Sunday to be two really good teams as well, Kendall. Yeah. Certainly the Chiefs we do. The Cardinals are dealing with injury issues right now, and it's unfortunate. Some teams just that bug just bites them, and it starts to spread, and it feels like it's infectious. Last year it happened to the Ravens. This year it's at least with this week it's happening with the Cardinals. But just overall, just general bigger picture, first game of the season. What's that feeling like for you? Is it is it extra sort of focus that's there? Is it the unknown? Is it trying to get into a groove? What's that first game of the season, that first week of the season like?
Yeah, Jason, that's a great question. It is. I remember my opening game of my rookie year. I don't remember all the others, but fortunately there was 15 of them, so they had to be a good time. But in general, you're relieved to make the team. If you're a veteran and you knew you were going to make team, you're just ready to get the season started. But you're right. There is something special about that opening day, and knowing that there's only 32 teams in the league, and you made one of them, and you get after it. And kind of once you kick it off, it's just the same thing. But it is a special feeling, and one that nobody takes for granted.
I wouldn't be able to do it off the top of my head, so certainly you would probably know way more than I. But was there a season, do you remember, where it felt like the schedule was front-loaded? Like this year, it's been a lot of talk this offseason. Chiefs players have been asked about it, right? So I'm assuming they're aware of the first 6-7 weeks of the season. They're facing some of the best teams in the NFL and the tougher part of their schedule right out of the gates. I don't know if you've had that in your career, but if you have, does it change things in the offseason? Does it change things in training camp? Do you feel like, you've got to be more ready to go than you typically would? Or is that like an outsider media fan thing that it's like, oh, they're going to put even more into this game, where reality's probably like, no, every game, like, I'm a professional. I'm doing this every single week, and I'm getting ready for this team.
I think what you said at the end is exactly right. And I will say, from a fan standpoint, after I left the league, you do think about it, but more. But as a player, and especially when you play for these coaches that are such great leaders, I was fortunate. I played for Cower, I played for Ditka, I played for Vermeil. I was around Andy Reid. These guys, they relish the competition. They look forward to it, and they don't pay attention to that whole thing about it being a tough schedule. They believe every game is a tough schedule, which I know is a cliche. But the fact is, it is, and you deal with it. And what you said at the end is, it is any given Sunday, any team can jump up and bite you. So you never take anybody for granted.
Is there any element of the Chiefs have advanced scouts, and they've got guys that are working on game plan for the Chargers as well. But like any element of, not only is the season going to start, but you're going to play 2 games in 5 days. Like it's hitting the ground running immediately. This time next week, they'll have played 2 games, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, make no mistake. I would bet my life that the last week of the preseason, before they were preparing, that it wasn't talked about. They just had different fronts and things that the O and the D were going against, and the scout teams, I guarantee you, they were running things from the Chargers and the Thursday night game that's coming up. They just don't talk about it, and that's what I've experienced from most coaches when you have a short week. Is sometimes they'll throw some things in. They don't say it's a team down the road, but they throw some things in so you can see it, and they can start to get you adjusted. And you as a player, you just assume you're preparing for that team, and for the most part you are. But the coaches are pretty crafty now. They figure out a way, and like you said, on a short week, it is very difficult.
Kendall Gammon is our guest, and Justin Reed said it, maybe it was yesterday that he said that, or you know what, it was a few weeks ago because it was in training camp and it was during the preseason, and he had said that, there were some plays that were being put in. It might have been before the final preseason game that they played, but he saw some defensive alignments by scout or something like that, and he went and talked to the coaches, and it was like, oh, no, these are the specific plays we're putting in because, what we're going to be facing. And he was like, the other guys didn't know it. And he's like, you didn't even have to tell them because it's like, hey, just go out there and prep and do those things. And maybe it gets like burned into your memory that you're prepping for those things. But Justin Reed didn't know it until he went and specifically talked to the coaches, and they told him, yeah, these are the things we're doing. So that was during training camp when they were doing those things. And I would wonder if it's, here's some Cardinals, plays. Here's some personnel packages that we face off against the Chargers. Just kind of getting you used to those things.
Yeah, absolutely. And even sometimes they'll be a little bit more intentional, even in the OTAs, where they'll talk about things and teams, because there, it's not as big a deal, obviously, Jason, so you can talk about it. But during the season, you're always focusing on that next game, but make no mistake, they throw some things in if they can, just like Justin was talking about. And I do think it's interesting that he went and he talked to him. And I'm actually a little bit surprised they said something, answered it, quite honestly. But it does prove my point.
Yep. Kendall Gammon is our guest. He's presented by Freeman Health System and Crown Automotive in Lawrence. The rookie growing pains has been something that we've discussed, and Steve Spagnuolo talked about it yesterday, that the rookie defensive players just got to trust them. Trial by fire, not going to try to shade or help out all that much on those guys. This is the game plan. This is the play. This is the scheme, execution. Go and do it. How much do you expect or think we'll see this year of some of those growing pains of knowing that there are a lot of rookies on this team, defensively certainly, and they'll be facing against some pretty good offenses? How much do you think the first part of the season we'll see some things where you're like, yep, that's a rookie getting picked on right there?
Yeah, it is going to happen, and he said as much in his press conference, and he said you just hope that the skill overtakes the rookie mistakes that happen, that we're playing at such a high speed that you can get away with that. But you've got to expect that. I think, and I think you guys have talked about it a little bit. To a degree, his hand has been forced because he's got a young team, and you hope that athleticism makes up for the lack of experience for a while. it's going to happen. I mean, and they're going to get tested early, I would think, with probably some unique fronts trying to confuse them, and they're going to get confused. But I mean, these are full-grown men, and their ego's not going to let them get down. They're just going to keep going. I mean, you've seen it in the preseason. George Karlaftis, I mean, it doesn't matter what happens. He's going full speed, and he may be in the wrong spot every once in a while, but he may get there so fast that it may not matter, and it may help somebody else out. So it's going to be a work in progress. I'm excited about the defense because I know they're younger, but I think they're faster than we've ever been, and they're just going to continue to develop.
Yeah, this game is really interesting from a number of different fronts, with specifically the offense for the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, because he's so fast and shifty that you're going to need to have a faster defense that can go sideline to sideline and have the range. Whereas, last year might have been more experienced, but I'm not sure that would have been the defense I would put on the field against Kyler Murray. More inexperienced this year, but man, they're fast, and the linebackers are quick as well, and they've got the range to be as much as you can be against a guy like Kyler Murray. They're not going to keep up with Kyler Murray and do some of those things. But Spagnuolo was talking about the word of the day was corral, that they want to corral Kyler Murray and they want to keep him in the pocket. That seems to be conducive for a guy like Karlaftis to have a big day. If he's someone that's a hard worker and is going to be, trying to set the edge and make sure that Kyler Murray doesn't get outside, but still work and work and work. And if Kyler Murray has to hold the ball a little bit longer, because you can't just simply let's beat the tackle and go right after him, because then, one jab step and now he's outside the pocket and now it's dangerous. It feels like this could be a game that's conducive for a player like a Karlaftis that is just a nonstop worker that will continue to pursue and go after a quarterback without stopping until, the echo of the whistle, as the cliche goes.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's going to be important for the defensive line and the edge rushers to stay in their lanes. This is going to be a little bit out there, but when I heard him talking about that, corralling him or whatever, it took me back to when I was with the Steelers, and Coach Cowher was talking about when we were playing the Detroit Lions, and they had a running back who was kind of shifty in Barry Sanders. And he did okay. And he talked about, I remember him talking to the team, because obviously talking to the defense is, we kind of have to make a cup around him. You have to understand that he can go backwards about as fast as he can go forwards, and you've got to just kind of hurt him somewhere, and it's got to be a gang tackle, because one person is not going to get him. And I think even Steve Spagnuolo alluded to that last night, that one player is not going to tackle, for the most part, Kyler Murray. He is a special athlete. There's no doubt about it. And so I think also if you can make him have to rely on the passing game to win, then it just doesn't happen. He needs his legs to be getting some first downs and to be getting some yards in general for them to, in my opinion, have a chance to win the game.
Visiting with Kendall Gammon, what do you think happens in the game from an offensive standpoint? That Patrick Mahomes has said it's going to be different. He apologized to fantasy owners out there about the Chiefs wide receivers, that it'll be somebody different each and every week. We've heard Eric Bieniemy say it's going to be different. Brett Veach say that it's going to be different. Is it going to be different in that, okay, there'll be different receivers, or is it going to be different that maybe they'll have more of a concerted effort to say, no, we're willing to run the football this year. If you want to play the two deep shell, you want to go with 6 men in the box, then we'll just go ahead and continue to run it. That's the patience or the way we're going to approach this season. Is it going to be different from that standpoint if you're throwing a dart and taking a guess? That I feel like a lot of people are like, I don't know what to expect, and that's the excitement level of Sunday.
I think so. I think Andy Reid probably has several cards up his sleeve, things we've not seen already, and that's an obvious statement. But I think they would obviously love to run the ball, because then that sets up things even more. I'd love to see more of the play action as opposed to the other things they run. I just forgot the name of it.
RPO maybe.
Yeah, the RPO. Thank you. I'd like that, but. What I saw in the preseason, to your point of getting everybody involved, is I felt like Mahomes stayed in the pocket longer, got through his progressions more, and then he flushed when he had to and extended the play. And then, of course, he can throw off at any platform. But you have this offensive line coming back that should with the season under them, should be very seasoned. and be ready to go. And I just don't think we saw much of the running game. A lot of people complain that we weren't running it. I don't think we really wanted to. I think we have the ability to as Chiefs, and we're going to see it. And if that's the case, and you can run more play action, then I think as hard as it is to say, Patrick Mahomes gets even better.
Yeah, Kendall Gammon is our guest. All right, last one. Who do you think wins on Sunday? Do you have a score maybe in mind that you're thinking for Sunday 3:25 there in Arizona?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs for sure, and I see it as a 34-23 game, somewhere in that area. I do think this is double digits, and I think it might not be that close. I just don't see the Cardinals, especially without DeAndre Hopkins. I just don't think that they have the firepower, even playing at home, to keep this very close.
Kendall Gammon with us. Kendall, you're the man. Appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the football coming up this weekend. And next week, we'll be talking about whether a Chiefs team is 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. I think 2-0, but we'll have a conversation about two different games we'll be breaking down. Thank you for the time, man. Appreciate it as always. Enjoy the football.
You bet. Take care.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon. He's presented by Freeman Health System, centered around you. Freeman Health System, your local hospital joining your circle of trust, and also Crown Automotive in Lawrence. They are your Lawrence new and certified pre-owned Toyota and Volkswagen dealership near Kansas City, Olathe, and Topeka. Go experience the Crown difference at crownautomotive.com. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Shaffer will hang out with us. We got the ZOUs we'll get into. We've got our predictions that everybody's just been waiting on to see who we're picking to win the different divisions and to win the Super Bowl. I refuse to tell anybody who I've picked to win the Super Bowl until today. I haven't let that cat out of the bag at all and said any team whatsoever that I'm picking to win the Super Bowl. People are pumped and ready to go. I've gotten so many tweets about, hey, who do you got?
You just
so
really,
many is in zero.
The real thing you're rooting for is just you hate to see injuries, That's the main thing. We haven't mentioned that much on the show either, but
you just want to avoid injuries during the preseason. That's what it's mainly about. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. ZOUs on the other side of the break. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I had a buddy that said stuff wrong all the time, and it was like a daily thing.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You gotta watch the show on Twitch, man.
You're both playing the drums, all right?
Yeah.
I went bass because
definitely a bass.
I thought somebody was going to be playing the guitar.
I got you.
Somebody's got the drums, and I went slapping the bass, slapping the bass.
Rarely do you see two drum kits on the same stage.
That's
two
right.
trap
Yeah.
sets.
And for whatever reason, I was playing the bass so high that it kind of looked like I was just flipping my nipple. Just like, I'm slapping the bass. Is that what you're doing?
Great visual for those watching on any of the streaming.
Are you you're calling that the bass now? Is that the bass? Yep, that's first base for me.
Do you
you might have called it second base back in the day, but that's first base. Slapping the bass.
You don't always flick your nipple in the commercial breaks? That's just
not on Fridays. I don't.
I like it
that's
cold in
usually,
here for a good reason.
That's usually on Monday to get me woken up. Like, come on!
Okay.
You got another 2 hours of the show left. Come on!
Ed Ogeron's here, flipping my nipple for some reason.
Do you guys want a teaser for the cuts that we'll get to later?
Yes.
By chance?
Yes.
They might or might not involve some McNipples later.
Okay.
McNipples.
McNipples.
Like mixed nipples or a McNipple? Is that like
could I get a large unsweetened tea and some McNipples?
Take
You want 6 or 12?
Take a Big Mac and
6 count
honey?
McNipple.
Do you want the Yeah, let's get 2 McNipples. We got a coupon.
Kids? No? Okay, no big deal. Nope. All right, just
Want honey mustard or sweat with that?
Kids want a McNipple. You
Do you want honey mustard or sweat with that? Is the worst.
Can you 86 the hair?
Oh.
Appreciate it, man. First window. Okay, great. Yeah.
It's like ordering wings, bone in or boneless. You can get them hair or hairless.
I paid with the app. It's all good. So.
Take some McNipples, bone in.
Oh, God. And some honey mustard.
All right, ZOUs. Should we get into the ZOUs now that we're done with our cool rendition of whatever song that was? Air guitar?
Royalty-free music right there.
There's a few other avenues we could take it down.
No, I think we've taken it down enough. I think we've taken it down enough. Okay, it's now below sophomore, although we're still reading at a senior level. But it has surpassed the other way to sophomore.
In the grand scheme of people, in the scheme of guests on this show, who would you be least surprised to learn has pierced nipples? Because my answer would be Mick.
Yeah, no piercings, no tattoos.
I feel like you could have absolutely had a nipple piercing at some point.
Does a Prince Albert count as a pierce?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yours looks great.
I redact my answer. No.
Yours healed up really nicely.
You know, I've just been trying to.
Hey, don't Google that, everybody.
ZOUs.
If you're like, oh, what's that? Is that the new King of England? No, no. Don't
Royalties
Google that.
in the news.
Yeah.
Has he been announced yet? Go ahead and move him up one spot. You can go to 810WHB.com and play the Pick'em contest. And it won't be hard to be better than me right now. You would just have to pick the Bills last night. I went off board. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the Rams. And we'll just see what happens. So I was wrong about that last night. So I'm 0-1 in the Pick'em, but I'm going to make it. I'm going to end up 15-1 this week. 810WHB.com/Pick'em. You can win weekly prizes. We have an overall season winner as well, sponsored by Roosters Men's Grooming Center, Bushnell, and also Bob Allen Ford. So go there right now. Check that out. 810WHB.com. You can click on the Pick'em icon, or you can just go to 810WHB.com/Pick'em. So there you go. All right, ZOUs. Now this year, okay, you guys can't get mad at the messenger and make fun of the over-unders that are set because we're using DraftKings over-unders.
I can't. Okay.
So
you can't get mad nor make fun.
No, not at all.
Until we get to the ones that Jason did himself.
That's true, because not all of these are DraftKings. I do have to do some of these myself. Then you can make fun and be like, oh, what a stupid line. We're all going to pick the same side of it. I'm not going to tell you to change it because I think it's an easy one. So we'll see. All right, we'll go around the room, and each person will rotate who starts first on these different categories. We start off with Patrick Mahomes, and we go with yards passing this year. DraftKings has set Patrick Mahomes' yards passing 4,650 and a half.
That half yard's really important.
Well, if he ends up at 4,650, you lose. 51, Beards, if you go the over, you win. That's how it works. It's a really...
That hook, man.
Can you get a half yard? I'm going with the over. 17 games. I think he's going to have a great season. I'm going to go the over on 46.50 and a half. Josh?
Yeah, I'm also going over. I think one little piece of this, whenever you're trying to do season-long lines, is I think the Chiefs have a pretty good chance of needing to play Week 17 this year, or Game 17, Week 18 this year, which oftentimes hasn't been the case.
Cool.
I think it's cool. That's a good line, but I'll take the over.
I think almost all teams for the rest of time, when it's only one bye in the playoffs,
Good point.
are going to have to play
Yep.
the 18th game, unless you're just purely dominating. You're about to be 17-0. I'm going over as well. This is baby stuff. This was easy.
Beards?
This was the layup line.
Beards?
The only year he hasn't thrown this many yards is his rookie year, and then the Super Bowl year where he had the knee injury and
the
the
rookie
ankle,
year when he
and the turf toe or whatever.
He didn't
so
throw
I'm going over.
He didn't throw for 4,600 yards against the Broncos?
He had 4,400 that game.
You know why? Because they pulled him.
That's right.
They took him
the
out of the
Tyler
game.
Bray experience. This is your
Tyler
show.
Bray.
Tyler Bray superfans love the zone.
If it wasn't for Tyler Bray, then Mahomes would have had 4,650 yards passing. See, I looked at that line and I thought, well, I think we're all going to go over.
Yeah.
But this is the Vegas line for the over-under, so I'm going to keep it that way. But I'm with Mick on this that I kind of feel like it's a layup line for Mahomes. So let's go to the next
I'm gonna
layup
break
line.
Vegas on this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Breaking Vegas. Touchdown passes for Mahomes. Josh, you lead us off with this one. DraftKings has it set at over-under 34.5.
This one's egregious. This one feels like over by like 5. I feel like if this line was 39.5, I would be tempted to take the over. So I'm happily over this one.
Mick?
I mean, if he throws an average of 2 touchdowns per game, plus one more, he gets this. Like 2.05 touchdowns per game. He'll get there. Absolutely the over.
Beards?
Same logic as last time. I'm going also over.
So 2 for 2 in categories that will not matter in our zone over-unders
Oh, yeah, I guess
contest.
that's true. There's no competition there for us.
No, but you know what? There can be competition with the money because, again, you can get that at DraftKings right now. 34.5 over-under for Patrick Mahomes touchdowns this year. I think that's an easy one. Interceptions thrown.
This one's tougher.
I was going to set it different than what DraftKings had it, so I'm just going with DraftKings. Mick, we'll start with you. DraftKings has the interception total set for Patrick Mahomes at 10.5.
Through 12 last year. That was the only time.
Was it 12 or 13?
It was 13.
13 last year.
Up here.
12 through 12 plus 1 last year.
It was the extra game. Had it been a 16-game season, it would totally have been 12.
Still getting me. Through 13, that's the only time he's been above 10.5.
He threw 12 his first year as a starter.
No, he didn't. Did he? 15 and 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but then he went back-to-back years with like 6 and 5 or something like that.
Yeah. What about his rookie year? Did he throw 12 in that?
He threw one. He threw 12 minus 11.
Okay.
But he paced for 16.
All right. I'm not going to throw anything definitive out here. I'm just like, it felt like half of those were tipped last year.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the luck falls back on his side. I'm going to go under 10.5.
All right, Beards.
I will also go under on that.
Hey, I'm thinking I'm going to go under on that as well with Mahomes' interception set at 10.5. Although you do have to think they have 17 games now. This is an extra game to get an interception, which is how he got to 13 last year, Mick, and you were thinking 12. Josh?
Give me the over.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't
bold.
I don't love it. This is not one that I would go put my own money on, but for the sake of this bit here, I think the logic of the positive regression from last year is absolutely smart logic. He's also got new pass catchers all around him. You get one miscommunication, one little missed shot. I think we're going to have a couple of times in the first few weeks where there's a Mahomes interception and they go, oh, what a bad throw by Mahomes. And then it cuts over and Patrick Mahomes is looking at one of his new receivers throwing his arms in the air like Tyrann Mathieu. Or more accurately, like pointing and cutting with his hand, doing a little one of these, little 1-2.
Pretty much what he's done a lot with McCole.
Yep.
Or the interception he threw at the goal line against the Raiders when he immediately looked at Demarcus Robinson and it was like, yeah, you need to do one of these turny, twisty thingies.
Yeah, little turny, twisty, little pirouette.
You see what the defense was doing. We talked about this.
Yeah.
This is what that's why I threw it there. Your twisty-turny thing, you button-hooked me. I didn't know you were going to button-hook me there.
I would take the under on interceptions that are Patrick Mahomes' fault, but that's not the game.
That's pretty good. I was going to set it at 8.5. I was going to put the over-under at 8.5. I feel like that's, I don't know, maybe more realistic.
I like 9.5 as the tricky
line. But you went over 10.5, so you would definitely like 9.5.
I would have set it at 9.5, and I think 10 feels about right, and you guys all said under, so I picked
well, guess what? You don't work for DraftKings, so you aren't setting anything.
Keep trying.
Okay? Set it and forget it. All right, Beards, we lead off with you on this one. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. His over-under rushing yards this year at DraftKings, 700.5. 700.5 rushing yards this year. Beards, we begin with you. Do you like the over or the under with Edwards-Helaire rushing yards?
He ran for 803 in his rookie year, playing 13 games, and then last year he was only at 517 in 10 games. I'm going to go over, but it's not like my favorite thing in the world, but I'm just going to go with that and say improvement, better health. Offensive line's got another year, and I'll take positive on that.
I am also going to go over with Edwards-Helaire this year at 700.5. I think this is a year to where the Chiefs need to find out what they have in Edwards-Helaire. And guess what? He continues to be the starting running back. It's not like they have made a change. When Edwards-Helaire is healthy, he's starting. Preseason games, he's starting. Game number one, Eric Bieniemy yesterday was talking about how good Clyde looks. And Clyde, they'll get touches, but man, Clyde's looking really good. So he's going to be the guy. If he's healthy, he'll get plenty of opportunities with an offense that I think is going to score and be pretty good at running the football. I'll go over that as well. Josh?
I'm going to take the under, and I think it's going to make me look stupid for the first 8 weeks of the season. It's going to be like, wow, he's pacing for a 1,200-yard season.
That's the risk.
I think the offense will evolve a little bit. I think they'll work Pacheco in more down the stretch. This isn't an Isaiah Pacheco bet. It's more Clyde's recent injury history, wear and tear of a running back, and they have other competent running backs around him that I don't necessarily think is a huge talent gap. The number one running back in Andy Reid's offense is a good bet to hit over 700, but I'm going to say the under there, maybe to just sort of hedge my bets on this offense a little bit.
Mick?
He's going under.
Under, okay.
Mick's analysis was better than mine.
And that's just simply, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
The under, and that's all.
The injury is a big thing. The fact that the Chiefs don't really try to establish the run is a big thing. How the offensive line looked in the 3 preseason games blocking for running backs, kind of like they weren't interested in it, factors in. And, yeah, under.
I wonder if this year will be more of a RB by committee for an Andy Reid.
I go for some RBs right now.
When it comes to the postseason, he likes one particular running back. During the regular season, since Kareem Hunt, he's had multiple different guys that have carried the football. They wanted Edwards-Helaire to be that Kareem Hunt guy, but injuries have happened. Now they've got what you were talking about, different skill sets with different guys. Pacheco brings something. Jerick McKinnon brings something. Ronald Jones brings something. I don't expect all 4 to be active. I mean, Andy Reid kind of said as much on Monday that, we'll see with 3 of them will be up. We'll see if there's 4 of them up. So rushing yards, I've got the over. Beards has the over. Brisco and Mick have the under. Total touchdowns for Edwards-Helaire. That's rushing and receiving. Total touchdowns for Edwards-Helaire set at 6.5 for him this year. Again, if I'm going over 700 rushing yards, then I'm going to go over the 6.5 rushing total touchdowns for Edwards-Helaire as well. So I am going to go over with that. Josh?
I mean, I have to stick with my same logic. I'm going under here. I feel better about this even than I do the rushing yards because I think Clyde could stay healthy and maybe not have 7 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
He is the running back of the group that I think I maybe least want to see in the red zone, which is sort of damning for a starting running back, I guess. But it's just that's just something to say about Ronald Jones and Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, certainly in the passing game. So I'll go under there more confidently.
I want to see Ronald Jones in goal-to-go situations. That's just, and I've got Clyde on my fantasy team, and I still want to see Ronald Jones there in goal-to-go situations. Mick?
Oh, it's going to be under. I think a producer at KSHB, Nick Jacobs, gave me a stat just yesterday, I think, on his numbers inside the red zone.
Oh, yes.
And he's averaging maybe not even a yard per carry.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. So I'm based it on that, and I don't know if What has he had? He had a couple touchdowns last year receiving.
So year one, he had 4 rushing, 1 receiving.
And that 1 receiving was in the first game against the Texans.
Last year, 4 rushing, 2 receiving. So
he's never gone more than 6
So there clearly is an expectation that Edwards-Helaire will be healthier and be the main running back for the Chiefs this year. Even goal to go if it's set at 6.5.
It's not, Adalberto Mondesi range here on my projections, but it smacks of it, okay?
You want to go over stolen bases for Mondesi this year? By the way, Barlow, 21 saves. Appreciate that. No lunch for me being bought. Beards over under total touchdowns for Edwards-Helaire, 6.5.
I'll go under on this one.
Ooh, I am on an island on that one. I am all on my own. It's fantasy purposes and lunch purposes. There's a lot riding on that. A lot of money on the line here when it comes to winnings in fantasy and the $200 lunches you guys stick me with the tab on like I'm Sky Moore. All right, Travis Kelce. We go receiving yards set by DraftKings, and this will be Brisco leading us off here. Receiving yards, DraftKings set it at 1,100.5.
I really didn't want to go first on this one because I'm not going to tell you that Travis Kelce's not going to have 1,000 receiving yards, but I am going to say I'll take the under on 1,100. I think it's a tiny bit age, a tiny bit usage, a little bit Patrick Mahomes saying, hey, we're going to spread the ball around to everybody. Sorry, fantasy managers. I don't know he was just talking about wide receivers there. Like, Travis Kelce is the number 1 pass-catching option in this team. Absolutely. I think he just gets to 1,000 yards this year, though. So it's a good line, but I'll take the under just barely.
Mick?
I'm going to go similar to Josh, under. I think it's going to be between 1,000 and 1,100 yards. This is maybe the toughest for me.
Me
He's
too.
going to be right there on the number if he stays healthy. But I'm going to hedge under just because there's it sounds weird that there's no Tyreek. You would think, okay, maybe he's leaning on Travis Moore, but Tyreek's been kind of gobbled up by 3 other receivers. And so I think the ball will be spread out more, and so I'm going to go under there, but I don't feel strong about it.
But it might also be to where
I'm going to say like this, under?
Yeah.
I don't know if that matters in my bet, but I said it with a question mark.
I think the logic would be that, okay, no Tyreek Hill. Now there's no question who the defense is going to focus on. Now there's not a pick your poison Tyreek or Travis.
Yep.
There's one guy. It's Travis that you want to focus on. Doesn't mean that you can stop him, but certainly the effort will be there more, an emphasis and highlight more on Travis Kelce. Beards?
Everybody's still on my points. I was also going to go under there, but I still think he gets 1,000.
Okay.
All right, so I am on that island as well.
Cool.
I am going to go over the only time since 2016 is when he surpassed 1,100 yards, and he has not been to 1,100 one time. That was in 2017 when he didn't play the final week against the Broncos when Mahomes played, and he ended up 62 yards short of getting to 1,100 yards. That was in 15 games. He's got 17 now as well. I still think it's Mahomes and Kelce. It's that connection that's going to live on for 20 more years, at least in my heart. So I'm going to go over with Kelce another at least 1,000-yard receiving season. I think he gets to 1,100. I think he can get to 1,200, 1,250 because I do think there's going to be that's the go-to. That's the relationship that's there. And while you're spreading the ball around, Kelce is still Kelce, and he's going to find a way to get open. All right, Mick goes first on this one. Touchdowns for Travis Kelce. It is set at DraftKings at 9.5. Mick, touchdowns for Travis Kelce, 9.5, over or under?
I'm going to go with the over. I mean, he's going to have those 3 games this year where he has 2 touchdowns in each game, and that's going to get him almost all the way there. Sprinkle in 4, 5, or 6 more. I think he easily gets the over.
Beards?
Travis Kelce's really good, so I was just going to go over on that one.
Well, you went under the previous one, so the logic of him being good. It's you're going to be surprised to know that I'm also going over with this one on Travis Kelce.
You're kidding.
Have you done an over on all of them?
Under on Mahomes' interceptions.
So unbelievable.
Have you done a homer on all of them?
Yes, that's exactly. We're playing Homer under here, and Jason's clearing the board on Homer.
I've only hit inside the park home runs in my life. I've never cleared the fence. Not happening. Josh,
how many touchdowns do you think he had at the most in his 1,000-yard season stretches?
11.
He had 11 in 2020. Here's from 2016 to 2021: 4, 8, 10, 5, 11, 9. Those are lower than I expected them to be over the course of his 1,000-yard seasons. Now, obviously, the Patrick Mahomes years did not start until the back end there, and he's been good since then. But 2019, 5 touchdowns. I'm going to stick with my logic previously. I'm going to go ahead and take the under on touchdowns there as well. Frankly, more red zone targets than this team has had here this year than they've had in recent years for a while now. I do not want to pick up the Travis Kelce hater badge by any means. I would not bet real money on these. Personally, I think that these are really well set lines, but I'll take the under on 9.5.
Yeah, I like how apparently I'm wearing the homer badge because I think Kelsey's going to get 1,100 yards, which he does every year, and 9.5 touchdowns, which is what he's averaged 9 touchdowns the last 4 years. If you take those 4 years that you talked about, an average. I'm clearly a homer in thinking that the best tight end in the NFL will put up the numbers that he's typically put up.
No, it's not for Kelsey. It's more the CEH overs there. That makes you the homer.
I'm just going with who is their starting running back that's going to get that. They love him. They want him. They want him to be the guy.
We've seen this with the Royals ZOUs too, Jason, okay? It's a problem, okay?
Hey,
this isn't really ZOUs. This is an intervention. We might as well tell them now, right? This is an intervention.
Here's the thing. I didn't have Chiefs lunch last year. And I am not paying for lunch with the Royals either this year. So
I feel like you should with those overs on the Alberto Mondesi. I feel like that should count double against you.
Clearly, I'm not the worst. I might have finished second to last every single year except for one of them, but I'm not the worst.
Didn't we all tie or two-way ties with the Chiefs one last year? To Mick and I had won, so you and Corey had to buy us lunch. I think that's how that worked.
Actually, I think that was right. Let me pull up 2021.
So you weren't good last year.
But I was only half terrible because I had to split. I only had to buy one of you guys lunch. Let me see.
I think that was the case.
Yeah, that's the case. Corey and I tied. We had 5 right, and you guys had 6 right. So there you go. We by the way, really, really well done last year. 5 and 6.
Out of how many?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Oh, no.
14.
Wow.
So you should totally listen to our over-unders and take it to the bank.
I've already made the Fadeson Anderson joke because that's going to be my betting strategy the entirety of this NFL season.
I don't know that I would do that way that it's been going at DraftKings for me. All right, now we go to Juju Smith-Schuster, which we go with Juju here and not any other receiver because that's the only receiver DraftKings has listed for the Chiefs in terms of receiving yards. Actually, you know what? They've got Sky Moore as well. But they've got Sky Moore well below Juju Smith-Schuster. There's no MVS there listed and no McCole Hardman. So Juju Smith-Schuster, they list receiving yards at 750.5. 750.5. And we start with Beards on this one, right? All right, Beards, over-under with Juju. You like this line? Is it a good one? Is it a good line that DraftKings set for you?
It's more my own decision-making in this one. I'm going to go under, but I don't feel great about it.
Okay.
I'll just we'll reveal why later.
All right, I'm up. I'm going to let you guys assume where I'm going to go. Josh, what do you think?
I'm going over, baby.
Okay,
I
cool.
like Juju here. It's kind of a health bet. If he plays 17 games, I think he hits 800, and probably then some. If he plays 12 games, I'm going to lose that one. But if Juju stays healthy, I think he's hitting over 750.
And by the way, that was my logic too. I obviously went over with Juju Smith-Schuster. Mick, over under 750.
I mean, under. I haven't seen. Obviously, much
him play football in Chiefs uniform.
I haven't seen him have a ball thrown his way when they're wearing full uniforms against another team from Patrick Mahomes.
That's a big part of it. And look, if you told me that MVS would lead them in receiving as in the wide receiver bunch, I believe it. If you told me McCole would lead him, I'd believe it. So I'm not treating it like he's going to be the guy outside of Kelsey. So I'm going to hedge it and go under 750.5.
All right. Let's see. This one starts with me. Juju Smith-Schuster touchdowns. They have it set at 6.5. Obviously, I'm going to go under.
Whoa! We got one.
Yeah, take that, Juju. Huh? Yeah.
When did you start hating the Chiefs?
Yeah, why do you hate the Chiefs so much, man?
About 30 seconds ago. I just totally flipped. I went heel. All right, Josh, over, under, Juju Smith-Schuster, 6.5 touchdowns.
I have to go draw my eyebrows back on after you just scorched them off with that blazing hot take. I like the over quite a bit, I think.
Quite a bit?
Yeah, I do. I'm just buying the Juju hype. I'm on over on Juju, and we might have more Juju talk next. We'll
you're loving the Juju.
I got good Juju.
You got the good Juju.
Juju right now.
Good Juju.
We won't hear that joke 1,000 times this season.
I know.
Beards, keep your bad Juju out of here.
Mick.
I'm selling the Juju hype, and I've got a buyer over here. So I said OBO, but he actually went over what I was gonna.
Or best offer.
Yeah.
He outbid himself.
Yes, yeah.
I'm gonna go 800.
It's like a house. I'm
you
like,
know what?
we'll have to go
850.
50,000 over. So I got a buyer, and so no, I'm going under on Juju, which I told my staff the other day. And a lot of times it doesn't matter because we do caps for our lower thirds, but it's big J, little U, big J, little
That's
U.
right.
That's
Absolutely
very important.
Yep. Beards.
I went under on yards, but I'm going to go over in touchdowns.
All right.
I think he'll be a good red zone target.
I went the exact opposite. Over on yards, under on touchdowns. Okay, who leads the Chiefs wide receivers in receiving yards? This or you just pick anybody you want. I believe we're starting with Josh on this one, right?
You already know, baby. It's all about that good Juju.
All right.
I would love to get some MVS odds on that. I think he would be my second choice, and I'm guessing he might only be third in odds, depending on where you're looking. I don't know. But I think it's Juju. I think he's the safe bet, but I also think he is the right bet here.
Mick, who are you going with? Wide receivers leading in yards this year. You've got the under with Juju.
It's not him.
Okay.
I think you have to. I don't think you just say the field. I would also probably take the field, given the option. I guess.
Yeah, field isn't an option, though.
Unless you think Field Yates is going to get some reps.
Give me MVS.
MVS?
I kind of like that, especially, again, if you're going to get longer odds.
Yeah. Beards?
I was going to go with McCall.
I like it. We've got 3 of the 4.
Do
We're
Watson.
good.
Come on, do it.
Say Justin
Very
Watson,
good.
coward.
Oh, no, I'm going Juju. For sure.
Wait, so hold on, for real? I don't mean to get too serious. Give me your Juju bets again, your over-unders.
I've got over receiving yards Juju, under touchdowns, and then since I went over receiving yards, I think Juju's going to lead the...
Because I don't think you gave your Juju, or you didn't say
over.
it.
He implied that it was over because it's...
yeah. Well, then after you gave your logic, I said my logic is the same as Josh's, why I'm going over with Juju and receiving yards.
Yeah.
All right, Chris Jones, sacks. 9.5 is what it's set at. 9.5 Chris Jones sacks. Mick, starting with you.
Under, unfortunately. He's only been over that once in his career.
Yep.
I'm going to go under.
Beards?
I'm also going under on that one.
I am going to go off board here. I'm going to go over with Chris Jones, and I think this is a season where
Who's your favorite NFL team?
I mean, until last night it was the Rams.
Yeah.
But now I'm off that bandwagon. Whoa.
Same. I always cheer for the Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, until they lose, and then it's like, oh, well, now
I cheer
it's
for the team that beat them.
Yeah, transitive property. Now I'm a Bills fan. I'm going over. I'm going over because I think Chris Jones is pissed off about last year and pissed off about missing the sack on Burrow, and I think he's going to show it this year. So
you're taking the over because he's angry?
That's right. He had 9 last year, and
So
he had like 10 games where he didn't even get a
since
sack.
late January. He's kind of held on to that fire.
That's exactly
Wasn't
right.
very angry last year.
No, he wasn't. No, he was content.
It's dumb,
Josh?
Jason. That's dumb. I'm also going over. But for totally different reasons. So here's the thing. I saw 9.5, and my first thought was, God, is he going to be a double-digit sack guy this year? I'm not sure. We'll talk more about the rest of the pass rush and everything as well. But he had 9 sacks last year.
He did.
Playing only 14 games with a lingering wrist injury.
Yep.
Starting out of position.
See?
I don't know if he's angry or not. I don't know how much Joe Burrow juice he's got left in him. But I think there's a lot of logic for him to be a 10 to 12 sack kind of guy.
And by the way, those 9 sacks came in 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, crazy.
He had so many games where he didn't ever record a sack. Just record one more, he gets to 10. All right, George Karlaftis, the number is set at 4.5 for him this year, which I feel like is a little lofty. But who are we starting with? Mick on this one? Mick
I started last time.
Okay. Beards, what are you doing?
Karlaftis.
Oh, okay, I get it. He's a little George Karlaftis here. Yeah, all right.
I've got that under on that one.
I've got the under as well for Karlaftis at 4.5.
Really?
I hate Karlaftis.
Yeah.
I love the Chiefs. Hate Karlaftis.
Beards, please mark that.
Josh?
I'm going over.
God, such a homer pick.
I'm going over. It was lower than I expected it to be. I was very prepared to say under 6.5 probably.
Wow.
But 4.5 feels low.
He's a rookie.
And I think he's going to play a lot. I think Carlos Dunlap and Frank Clark are going to need a rookie to take some snaps. I think he's going to be on the field enough and have the sponge motor that he requires to hit 5 sacks on the year. I feel good about that.
Sponge motor square dance. Mick?
Really close.
He's going to be starting by midseason, if not earlier. I'm going over on
Let's
right
go,
off
Mick.
to sacks right there. Let's do it.
I hope I'm wrong on that one. We got to break immediately.
I just saw what time it is, and it's still the second segment.
We can get through the rest of the sacks here.
Yeah, let's do the.
You just want to breeze through this real
Let's
quick?
get to
Just these last
wins,
two. Just these
and
last
then we
two.
can do division winners and stuff after the break.
Yeah, well, we'll do division winner stuff after the break. But team defense, total sacks set at 37.5.
Under me. Under.
You guys under.
I'm going under also, even though I took the over on those 2 players. I think this might be the Karloff Jones
We're
show.
all under. Rookies interceptions. So all rookies on defense, total interceptions, that's set at 3.5.
There's too many of them to go under. I'm going over.
I am going over as well, even though, like, there's rookies, but how much is Cook? How much is Watson going to play? So it's kind of McDuffie and Williams in there. I'm still going to go over 3.5. Mick went under.
No, I went over.
He went over.
You went over, sorry. I went over. Brisco, Beards?
I'm going to go under.
I'll go over.
Over. All right. And then last one is wins.
12's more than 11.5, right? I'm going 12.
DraftKings set it at 10.5. I didn't care. I set it at 11.5 because I think we were all going to go over at 10.5.
God,
so
you're a homer.
11.5. I'm still going to go over. Josh?
I'm going to go over. I think it's. I like the DraftKings line more than yours, but I'll go over still.
Beards?
I'll go over.
Over. All right. So we're all over.
You want to move that one to 12.5? See what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. That would be good. And this segment is also over.
Over. Way over.
There you go. It's way
And Beards
over.
is under the desk.
That's exactly
Passed
right.
out.
We are way over in time. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. More Zone next.
Follow the show on Twitter. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm good at enjoying myself.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, you know what? Mick is the wittiest person that he knows. He said as much last night on the broadcast.
You weren't watching. You just got told.
No, I actually was watching.
Oh, okay.
I was watching, and then I didn't hear that part of it, so I had to go back and rewind. And to know I was watching is that I could just go back and rewind because I hadn't changed the channel. It was still on there. So we went around. I'm like, what was he talking about? Oh, the Mason fun.
Masonry.
The
cool place, one of those Masons used to be our next door neighbor.
No kidding.
And I get to the game and they moved. I'm like, oh, he started wide receiver as like a sophomore. And he makes a big play. So I texted his dad like, yeah.
And who was it that played? It was
Olathe West and Lawrence.
Yeah.
Great game. Lawrence won by 7.
Mason the quarterback to Mason the receiver.
Yeah. Masonry.
And Nick says some masonry, and they're building it brick by brick.
Brick by brick. We're going to score.
So good. Kevin liked it. It was all right. Chiefs press conference next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm going to go get the biggest cheeseburger you've ever seen. Prime, the biggest one. And might be a double.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so we'll head out to practice facility when Andy Reid heads to the podium. We'll hear from Travis Kelce and Orlando Brown as well. That's the lineup for today that we'll be hearing from the Chiefs whenever they get there. Andy Reid's there right now.
Today in practice, so that's the only one that we had. Look forward to the challenge of playing Arizona. We know they're a good football team, and fast and quick and all of that on both sides of the ball, and on special teams. So we've had a good week of practice, and we'll load up the buses and the plane tomorrow and head over there. So with that, time's yours.
The expectation, no designations that is Rodriguez by injury designation?
No, not, yeah, everybody should be good to go, unless there's a setback, or Frank or something.
When you guys have run a scout team to try to get a look like you're going to get from the opposing quarterback and offense, how difficult is that when there's someone who doesn't fit into a group of other people, I guess?
Yeah, so we had our young quarterback in there doing it. He moves around pretty good, so he played for the Jackrabbits. He's pretty quick, so he did a nice job though for us.
Coach, when do you anticipate making that move from a practice squad player to the 53?
Yeah, you know what, Herbie, I leave all that up to Brett.
How much will special teams play into that, though?
That'll be a part of it for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
When did you watch any of the game last night at all? Take a peek at it at all? Anything?
I did. Yeah.
Do you, when you watch something like that happen, on a regular TV, you're not watching cut-ups and all that stuff. Did anything strike you about the Bills and how maybe they're different this year? I know you guys have played them, and you're the ones who put them out last time.
No, I thought both teams are good football teams. So I thought they all look good. They both look good. So.
Do you get the feeling, this is just, I guess, a narrative out there, that people are making moves to beat you guys? Because you've gone to a couple of Super Bowls, they're going out and making these moves for pass rushers and different things like that. Do you get a sense that that's happening in the league?
I think they're just trying to be the best they can. They can be. So coaches look at it, personnel guys look at it to find where they can make themselves better as a team, and they go with it. I don't think they necessarily match you up against somebody.
Andy, it's been a few weeks where Frank has missed some time with the illness. Is there anything new? I know he has obviously the condition and stuff, but is there sort of a lingering aspect to this?
There's nothing new on that now to give you. Yeah.
On the subject of Frank, obviously you entered into a plea arrangement with the LA County District Attorney's Office this week. What is your expectation level to hear potentially from the league on anything about the personal conduct policy, or have you been in contact with the league on that?
I haven't been, no.
Is there one aspect of the game, your team, Arizona, that you really think is going to make a difference on Sunday?
No, I think it'll be both sides. I think we're going to need to play well. That's how I feel. And then special teams, they've got a good special teams coordinator. He tried an onside kick against us the last time, so he's got all that stuff in his package, and I'm sure they'll work through that. And then offensively, how explosive they are, and defensively, they're a sound football team that shows you Vance knows a lot of things, man. So those guys they fly around.
You know he had his opportunities last year, but what gives you the confidence in Nick Bolton now that he's taken that role, so making the calls on defense? What have you seen that?
Yeah, so when he had chances last year, you could see it. This year, he's just upped it, and then he's had more reps. So I think he's real comfortable in there making the calls. These guys do a lot of things, so he's got to be sharp with it all. But he's worked extremely hard for that. Yeah.
It seems like it's always
the last two will go, Sam and then Nate.
It's always a cat and mouse game with Vance Joseph defense because he plays so many different. Does it keep you particularly on your toes in a week long game though?
Yeah, no, it does. He does a nice job, and gives you a lot of different looks. So you got to be sound in what you're doing. And there going to be a time or two he gets you, and then you just got to work it out and make sure you fix it. So,
last two. Coach Spags yesterday said that he could sense the guys are a little anxious in practice just because there's a regular game that they're getting ready for. Can you sense that at all?
Yeah, I think that, they're ready to go, just to go play. And play against somebody else besides themselves here. So it's I think it'll be good to get out there and get going. Right, it gets you started here. So I think that's positive. You saw that last night, man. You saw the guys. Both teams were hyped up and ready to go. So.
Last one, Nate.
Following up on that, Andy, because you've been doing this for so long, I just wonder what your perspective is and how you approach the rookies, knowing it's their first game. If you will have anything specifically for them between now and kickoff, or will you just try to keep it as business as usual?
Yeah, well, we try to do that, keep it consistent from that standpoint. But you go play the game that you've been playing for since you're a little kid. Go play and don't let yourself get in the way of you playing good. So sometimes you can worry so much about it, you freeze yourself. So you go ahead and relax and go play the game.
All right.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
All right, there's Andy Reid. As they get set for the Arizona Cardinals, he is looking forward to the challenge of playing the Cardinals. So football is back. The injury thing, it's been what this week has been all about. It's been the health of the Chiefs and the injuries for the Arizona Cardinals. And we were wondering about the timing of it just being coincidental that Frank Clark enters the plea and pleads no contest while he's out sick yesterday. Was it coincidence? Was he out sick with the, dealing with? Well, then he says, yeah, everybody's good to go Sunday unless Frank has a setback, which would lead you to believe that, yes, he was out yesterday because he was sick and dealing with this stuff that he's been dealing with for a number of years. So I think he was probably hoping, and maybe the Chiefs were hoping, that he got a better handle on the nutrition stuff in the offseason. Although, saying that, he might be sick from something totally different. It might not be it's just something that Frank Clark has been dealing with since he's been in Kansas City. It's just been a constant, thing that we've talked about.
Well, and we hoped it wouldn't be an issue, right, with him losing his, more 20, 30 pounds or something like that, and he looks like a totally different athlete. And like you said, that's all we know. And I saw the report, and I was just, I just thought, like, what was this, like, 2 years ago? Thank goodness we're back to, okay, he's sick. 2 years ago, it would have been, oh, my God.
He might be out for 2 weeks. Is he going to play?
Are the Chiefs going to have to move the game?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Do they cancel the game? Do they delay it? Can they play the game Tuesday and then the Chargers Thursday?
Right. Yes.
How do they do that? Is that too soon to play another football game with 1 day off in between? Baseball does it. NBA, why can't football? Yeah. No, you're right. I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it. And just daily saying, hey, results back from Frank. Is he still negative?
No, who was
positive?
He around?
Yeah,
Close contacts.
Right.
Am I going to need to play defensive end this week?
Yes. Is Karlaftis available to do that, or will Karlaftis just beat the crap out of it? Just never stop. But what's the deal with that? Yeah, you're right. But that's the position the Chiefs are in. Knock on wood, and hope it continues. But the health has been good for them so far this preseason. Because really, you never want injuries to happen during the preseason.
They've had some guys out. The health is good heading into the season.
Right. Heading into the season, because you look across the field and what the heck's going on with the Arizona Cardinals. J.J. Watt didn't practice again today. Rondale Moore did not practice today. We know DeAndre Hopkins is already out. Not an injury, but still. Trayvon Mullen is, out, did not practice today, is probably not going to play. We'll get the injury report, later on this afternoon of guys that might be designated out and not playing. Marcus Golden was limited at practice, so he was back practicing at least. He also got a contract extension today, so we'll see if he's out there playing. But there are some issues for Arizona. Zach Ertz returned to practice, but we'll see if he even plays this weekend, because Cliff Kingsbury said Wednesday that they are going to be cautious with Zach Ertz. That, we'll see what happens Sunday, but we're going to take it easy with Zach to make sure that, he's 100% ready to go before we do that. And they drafted, a tight end in the second round that they probably feel confident in, that he's a pretty good receiving tight end, because, it took him in the second round and he had a lot of production at Colorado State. So, we'll see. But, man, the secondary is just ravaged by injuries, and they've got a lot of guys that are below 6 foot.
Secondary, wide receiver room.
Yeah, man.
So thin. I can't believe Kyler Murray didn't play any in the preseason if he's at that point in his career. I mean, Aaron Rodgers I get, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kyler I don't. I'm wondering how much that's going to play a factor into things.
That's an interesting point.
You couple that with the wide receivers who are banged up and not there, and I just really like this matchup for the Chiefs more and more with every passing day. But honestly, this preseason is probably good to maybe keep him out because just the bad luck they've had at every position seemingly.
Well, I mean, who was it that hurt their foot at the training facility? Like for the Cardinals, was it
Yesterday?
Golden?
Rondale Moore was injured.
Moore hurt his hamstring, but it was like somebody with a foot. Like it might have been Zach Ertz or whatever. That it was like he injured his foot. Like
I just permanently leave Nick Jacobs' Twitter up because I know he always has all the injury reports and everything.
Oh yeah.
So foot wise from yesterday, Trayvon Mullen had the toe. Was the designation, and Marcus Golden both actually were toe issues.
So one of those, I think they got hurt, and I was listening to Nick Leckie yesterday and said, well, that tells me that he dropped a weight or something on his foot when he was working out. Just the way that it was described, he was like, that sounds to me like that was an accident in the weight room and something fell, and now all of a sudden the freak thing, like, well, that guy's probably going to be out for a week or so or whatever. And I'm like, I hadn't really thought about that, like working out, just setting a weight down and like, oh, that got my toe. And you got Antonio Hamilton who burned himself while cooking.
Say, I could take out a toe rounding the kitchen counter.
That's right. You need a toe. I can get you a toe. I can get it with nail polish on it if you need it. But like entering this game, you would have Antonio Hamilton who got hurt in a cooking accident. You would have one of those players that got hurt maybe by lifting weights and dropping something on their foot. You would have another player that hurts their hamstring the Thursday, the week of, who's going to be – see, and I think that might be an under-the-radar big deal. Because Rondale Moore wasn't putting up crazy stats last year. But Rondale Moore was going to be the guy they used in all different spots. They were going to hand the ball off to him. They were going to do wide receiver screens to him. He was going to play the X if need be. He was going to play in the slot. They were going to move Rondale Moore into all different positions this year to try to get the ball in his hands. So him being out, it makes him so much more just conventional. Here's a tall wide receiver in A.J. Green. Here's a faster wide receiver in Hollywood Brown. And here's a slower tight end in Zach Ertz, a veteran guy. And here's a new, young, fresh pup rookie tight end that's a good receiving tight end. And here's a running back that's going to be more physical than he is shifty and fast in James Conner. It's just from what it was when you got DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds as well. With that offense, it's so much more dynamic with playmakers all over the field. The Cardinals went from being really athletic offensively and the Chiefs being slow defensively to then the Cardinals are probably pretty generic outside of the quarterback in what they can do offensively, whereas the Chiefs are just really fast all over the field. So
I didn't see, is Darryl the Barrel, is he their third down back?
He is
still on the roster. I don't know what his role is going to be. But.
No, I think he was listed as the second running back. Like it's the he might have been listed on the depth chart with
They put him in front of the media on Monday, and I'm sure a lot of it had to do with him being a former Chief.
They may have.
Do you guys know the other former Chief in the Arizona Cardinals?
Yes, Ben Neiman.
Marvicus.
There's two actually.
Is Neiman on the Cardinals?
Ben Neiman revenge game. I almost said mother bleeper and mother baby.
I believe isn't Rodney Hudson on that roster too?
He has done the full.
Yeah, he's
done the full circle
yep.
of briefly getting cut and then signed and then traded all last offseason. That was a weird offseason for him.
Okay. So the depth chart for the Cardinals at running back lists Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams as the backup. So I thought it was like a college thing, or college always has the ors listed everywhere.
Went to town on that in their first
the college depth charts are a joke with all the ors. Cliff Kingsbury, college guy, went James Conner, and then second string, Eno Benjamin or Darrell Williams. So he kind of went the college route there with that. So, yeah, Darrell or Eno is going to be their third down back. But I'm guessing it's Darrell Williams because it's kind of what he is a third down back. So he'll get some carries. He'll get some looks. We know he's good in pass protection, so he'll be doing those things. But he's a generic running back. Connor's good. I mean, he can certainly find the end zone. I think he's better than generic. Benjamin's a guy. Hollywood Brown is fast. A.J. Green is just a guy now than from where he was when he was A.J. Green. It's just such a night and day offense for this Cardinals team this year than when, at the end of the year when it was like, yeah, they're playing the Cardinals. All right, here's Travis Kelce.
New team, new identity, and we're fired up because of it. So just another hack at another year. I mean, it's just it's exciting, man.
I'm assuming you watched a little football last night.
Oh yeah, saw the whole game. Yeah,
The Bills look like they're ready to go. Week 1. They made some moves. You guys ended their season. Do you get the feeling? I mean, you've had the target on your back in this division for a long time. But do you feel like the target is on your back with all the moves that a lot of these teams have made in the AFC?
I mean, I think with our success, I think a lot of teams kind of circle us on their schedule. But that's what you want, man. If you're not answering the bell every single week, I mean, why are we out there, right? I'm trying to be the best on every single play, every single game. So it's not new to me to feel like everyone's ready for my best shot. Or if I'm on the flip side, I know I'm getting everybody's best shot because of the success that we've had. So it's just it's nothing new here. I think there's a few new faces that are going to get a glimpse of that if they haven't already had that in their career.
In previous seasons, it's been a lot of you and a lot of Tyreek Hill, and there's been an emphasis. It's going to be a lot of different bodies this year distributing the football. Just how have you seen maybe that help Pat as far as just being a little bit more calm and looser in the offense in this new look offense?
I always felt that Pat was very good at getting the ball around to other guys. Obviously, with a guy like Tyreek, you can have a lot of trust in a guy like that to make big plays, especially on big-time moments like he has in the past. So it's just finding that rhythm of, the intentions of the play caller, what we're seeing on defense, and going from there, and just trusting the guys that are in the position, which I have all the faith in. The new faces that we have that are going to be able to be on show this Sunday, man. It's going to be fun seeing everybody have fun.
It sounds like Noah's going to fill in a little bit of the Blake role. How confident are you in this?
Oh, man, we got an awesome tight end room. It's killed us to see Blake, go down like that in the beginning, in the preseason. And then an awesome game by Bushman to see him go down that hurt. But we got a fun tight end room, man. And you're gonna see a lot of athletes out there, a lot of big athletes, that's for sure.
Travis, you and your brother are testing the podcast water, jumping in there. Talk about the New Heights show.
Yeah, the New Heights show, man. It's me and my brother venturing into a new playing field, man. Given our intake of our knowledge of everything that we've gone throughout our playing career, and just getting on camera and on the mic, man, having some fun as brothers, knowing that we just enjoy being around each other and having fun doing it. So it's definitely going to be interesting every Wednesday. You guys will be able to check us out.
Travis, the defense, Arizona, one of their green dots is an Olathe guy, and Isaiah Simmons. Just what have you seen out of Arizona? What have you seen out of Isaiah that maybe thinks this defense is going to be challenged?
I remember he was a Clemson guy, right? Yeah, I remember seeing him over at Purple Label Barbershop, man. Shout out to Dewan and everybody over there. Yeah, he's an unbelievable player, and I mean they got a very stout defense. Their front seven is packed, and then they got athletes in the back end. And then you add Buda Baker as a safety, kind of like a chess piece. You can throw him everywhere. They got a great defense, and we definitely got a challenge ahead of us, man. But we've been waiting all year to go out there and have some fun, so I plan on doing so.
Travis, how eager are you to see just how defenses play you guys? It seems like week to week last year it was pretty consistent, but it seems like maybe not this year, or are you just eager to find out?
I think it's up in the air. This team is specifically kind of a junk ball team. They'll throw everything at you. A lot of blitzes, a lot of different variations of coverages, and you can't really get a good tell or a lot of there's not a lot of scheme to it, right? They just have a lot of good players that can do different things. So it's just understanding that you got the whole gamut of coverages that you can get thrown at, and just being true to your indicators and just playing fast, man. You can't let it slow you down. That's the biggest thing that I think they're trying to do when they throw so many different types of coverages at you.
You guys probably already do this, but does that make you sort of hyper aware that you're not the first, second, or even third option on the play? You still got to be ready?
Well, I mean, every play versus every coverage has a certain progression, right? So it's just understanding when you're getting the ball and being alert for it, being on time, and being there for Pat, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing in the run game, making sure you know who we're working towards, and getting a body on a body, man.
A couple more. Go Todd and then Aaron. Go Todd. Non-football question. I saw yesterday on Twitter there was a podcast where Heidi Gardner said she'd be her dream to have you and Pat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man.
How do you go about making that happen?
Heidi's awesome. She's been a huge Chiefs supporter, really KC supporter, for as long as I can remember. I think she came out here to Big Slick this year, so I was bummed I couldn't make that. I told him I'd never miss another one, but that would be awesome, man. I remember growing up in the Farley days and the Will Ferrell days. I mean, it was Saturday Night Live has been a dream of mine to just go to, let alone be in.
Have you got some characters or skits in mind?
No, I'm going to leave that up to the pros.
You got nothing?
No, I'm going to leave that up to the pros, man. Exactly, yeah, I have no idea.
Aaron?
You talked about the new faces playing a role. Do you have to say anything to those guys about the difference between, hey, training camp, preseason, and it gets real now? And do you remember your experience going from?
I mean, the new faces that we have, I mean, they're veteran guys. They've been in that action. They've played in big-time games. They've been big-time players in big-time games. So I don't think we need to really say anything like that. There's a few rookies, specifically on the defensive side, that just haven't had a glimpse of what the NFL feels like. But I feel like we got a lot of leaders on that side of the ball. We got a lot of playmakers up front that are going to help it make it easier on the guys, the younger guys, to just fall in line and do their job and just fly around and make plays, man. That's the biggest thing, man. You keep that energy up, man. You're living out your childhood dream to be able to go out here and it's an exciting time, man.
Thanks for that.
All right, guys.
All right, there's Travis Kelce, and we'll hear from Orlando Brown here shortly when he gets to the podium. So when he gets there, we'll head back out to Arrowhead for that. So Kelce,
sign me up. By the way,
Saturday Night
watch.
He would be good at it.
Saturday Night Live on KSHB 41.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, you can.
Where can you watch the Chiefs and Chargers Thursday
We
Night
have
Football
great ratings on our
Prime?
Saturday night 10 o'clock show.
So, I know it's on Prime with Chiefs and Chargers, but I'm not sure.
Don't bother trying to find it there. Just watch it on KSHB 41.
How about that? And the starting left tackle will be Orlando Brown. He's up right now.
What's this last couple of weeks been like, and just how fired up are you guys to go out there and get after it?
Yeah, very fired up, man, especially up front. The regular season, man, it's always exciting being able to do this. Obviously, we all dream about, having an opportunity, man, and, going into my 5th year, it seems just as exciting as ever, to get out here in this first regular season game.
Is there, and we know that you came to camp a little bit slimmer, but are there other things that maybe made you feel even more comfortable heading into week 1 this year than you did last year?
Yeah, man, just the comfortability within the system, understanding the expectation of, how I'm supposed to make certain blocks or put myself in certain position, just within my 2nd year within the system, man. So just the comfortability of that as well.
Kind of a similar question, but this time last year you were joining a new team with new teammates, just getting to know people.
Yep.
How much more comfortable are you now that you can go out there and just play, you know the guys next to you?
Yeah, man, so much more comfortable. I spoke about it before, just about offensive line play, period. Gelling with the group, having the comfortability of knowing the guy next to you is seeing what you're seeing, sometimes without communicating, sometimes by just making eye contact or whatever those things are, man. But me and Joe just continued to grow. We played a lot of football together since last year, since I got traded in April. And, man, we're looking forward to the opportunity to get out here in some of these live situations.
Orlando, you were pretty proud of the young kid that got the helmet, Brandon Jackson. Just kind of, your involvement in that, how happy you were to see that get done.
Yeah, man, as somebody that's a big kid, obviously I had a big head as well. So, I understand what it's like to deal with things like that. I was very fortunate, man, and my dad could take me to the Ravens facility and we get what I needed. So, it was just more so me looking out for a young man that loves the sport of football, that wanted opportunity to play. So, Rydell actually did their part as well by, giving him a personal scan and all those different things. So, man, I'm happy for the kid. Hopefully, he gets that helmet soon.
It's kind of made you realize how expensive football can be at a youth level.
Yeah.
That helmet was.
Oh yeah. I believe it was $1,200 helmet. Man, I mean, it seems like everything is so much more expensive, man. I mean, I don't even know how much my helmet was, but I'm sure, it was probably a lot less than that.
It sounded like when you were away from the team, you had a lot of time talking to Patrick. You guys were even spending time together. Just during that period, how much did Mahomes reaching out to you and keeping you in the loop mean to you, and did it help grow your relationship even with the quarterback?
Yeah, man. Pat's one of my really good friends, and my relationship with him has just continued to grow since my time here. Obviously, I think just the natural connection of the Big 12 and all of the coaching staffs, and I just feel like we've kind of intertwined with all of those different things. So I kind of, had a familiarity with his personality already before I even got here. But this offseason, man, just getting around him, talking ball, which is what we both love to do. And anybody that knows me, man, knows I love the game of football. So, and he's a great mind, somebody that I enjoy talking about ball with.
Did it mean a lot to you when there were questions about your stuff, he would just kind of say, look, he's our guy.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, yeah, man, it means a lot. Knowing that, Pat obviously has my back in those situations for whatever reason or whatever those things are, and very understanding. But, man, Pat's an amazing teammate, amazing person, man, amazing friend. So I'm very thankful to have him in my corner.
You have the franchise tag is done. You don't have a long-term contract. You got to play the season betting on yourself, as they say. How do you put that part of it out of your mind as you go out there? Because this is a game, you get hurt, things can happen.
Yeah.
How do you just put that away and just let performance speak?
Yeah, man. It's the insurance policies and all those different things. But, man, I'm just focused on developing myself into the best player that I can be. Putting myself and this team in position to win Super Bowls, man. That's really where my mindset is. As far as the contract, it's unfortunate. I hate that things weren't able to get done, but that's part of the business, man. But I'm just really looking forward to getting out here and being able to prove it to myself, most importantly, what I can do.
When you see Arizona on tape, what jumps out challenge-wise as far as what y'all going to be seeing on Sunday?
Yeah, man, they've got an interesting scheme. They run a lot of different coverages. I don't want to say they have a lot of different personnel, but they have a lot of players as well, man. They got some talent as well, and J.J. Watt, Marcus Golden up front, and so many other names we can list off, Buda Baker and all these other guys, man. But I think the challenge is just going to be making sure that we take care of our part of execution, making sure that, as the plays are called and everything's coming in the flow of a game, highs and lows, making sure we maintain our composure and go out there and execute.
Orlando, you talked about your comfort just within this system. But what about a left tackle? Most guys going into their fifth year played the same position for most of those times. You obviously switched out. Much more comfortable and just growing. Do you still feel like you're at your position? Yeah, man. I still feel as though I have a ton of room to grow as a player, and man, just specifically as a left tackle, like you said, man. But I feel so much more comfortable going into basically my third season as a left tackle in the NFL within my fundamentals, my stance, man, my base. Obviously, I slimmed down to be able to move a lot quicker and do those different things too.
Thanks, Orlando.
Yep, no problem. Appreciate you guys.
All right, there's Orlando Brown. He's got the left tackle coming up on Sunday for the Chiefs and Cardinals. What else is on tap coming up this weekend? It's presented by KC Beer Co. Tonight, Daniel Lynch is on the mound, much to the surprise of Josh yesterday. But Daniel Lynch for the Royals taking on the Tigers. The Kansas Lottery 200 on ESPN KC, 6 o'clock out at Kansas Speedway. That's right. Tomorrow, the Kansas Lottery 300. 2 o'clock, also on ESPN KC. That's 100 something farther.
Would be miles.
That's
miles
true. K-State Mizzou tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning on ESPN2. KU 5 o'clock on Sports Radio 810 tomorrow, taking on West Virginia. Jonathan Heasley for the Royals on the mound. Sporting taking on Houston tomorrow at 7:30, and then on into Sunday, Brady Singer for the Royals. Chiefs and Cardinals 3:25, and the Current taking on Gotham on Sunday at 4 o'clock, and the Hollywood Casino 400 out at Kansas Speedway. That's another 100 as well. That's at 2 o'clock. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. That's presented by KC Beer Co. KCBIER.com is our What's on Tap.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I just play a braggadocio badass on the radio. In real life, I am very humble.
If I ever host a career day.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, quick segment here, and then we got the cuts. Let's go through our predictions.
Yeah,
let's put as much time on the air as we probably put in off the air in putting these things together for what we think is going to happen in the NFL. AFC East, I've got the Bills. You guys have the Bills, right? Bills.
We can all say it at the same time and just see if anybody sticks out.
Nobody else had the Jets.
Yes, for you.
I bet we have all four in this same.
I bet you're right.
The North, I've got the Ravens.
Cincy.
Okay, you got okay, Bengals. Good for you.
Seriously?
I got. It's just I thought we would
last year.
What are you doing going with the Bengals, the AFC champs?
You got the Rams also
to win their division.
Joe Burrow retire. Okay.
Did they get better? I'm not sure.
You guys both have Ravens?
Yeah.
What does
I
Ravens have?
I have Ravens.
Yeah, you're the odd man out.
They had the worst injury. They had the worst injury luck in the world last year.
West, we all have Chargers, right?
Yeah, sweep the board.
wait,
Raiders. I got the Raiders.
Sorry, the game started last night. NFL season started, so no longer the Chargers. We all have Chiefs.
Chiefs sweep.
Good one.
Beards?
I tried to work in maybe the Broncos, but I went Chiefs.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
God, you guys are such homers. Ridiculous. All right, NFC East.
Did we do the South?
We didn't do the South.
I'm sorry, the South. Colts.
Yeah.
Indy.
Yeah.
All of us had Colts, really? No Titans.
The Titans are so wildly disrespected right
Yeah.
now. They should be doing the shows we've been doing for a month.
Absolutely.
Disrespect.
Tannehill's like, why y'all hate me? Oh, I know. NFC East, I was going between Eagles and Cowboys. I landed on the Eagles. What do you guys got?
Landed on the Cowboys, but I got the Eagles as a wild card team. I think it's swung too far for Dallas.
I went Eagles.
Cool. Okay, so we are all on the same page.
Nope.
No, he did Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys. The Eagles are a wild card team.
Oh, I see. You said Eagles wild card team. In the North, I've got the Packers.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Packers.
Yeah.
Packers.
Vikings are my first wild card team. How about that?
Okay. The South,
Tampa.
Yeah, it has to be Tampa.
Yeah.
I went New Orleans.
Whoa.
I went way off the board.
Wow. Okay,
New Orleans.
cool.
I went
So
Saints.
does this one count for lunch bets and stuff? How
No,
much
it
money am I
doesn't.
going to profit off of your?
It does not.
Okay, good.
I'll see it when I believe it. When it comes to the offensive line for Brady and whatever's going on with him and Giselle.
Right. You're right.
Whatever's going on with him and
whenever
Giselle
I see
behind
Tom
the
Brady
scenes.
win, I'll believe it then, but not a second
I
before.
know.
In Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I know. Look, he and Giselle, they got marital problems. He's 40-something years old. There's a lot of bleep going on, okay? I'm not sure if those reports are true or not, but I'm going to buy into it because the dynasty is over. Brady is toast. He's washed. The West, I got 49ers.
And I scratched it out. I watched last night's game.
I had it
from
before the
to
Rams,
49ers.
but if you change it now, I don't care. 49ers, everybody?
I'm keeping the Rams. Nope, I got Rams.
I got Rams.
Oh, good for you guys.
Look at
Awesome. Championship game in the, let's go NFC first. Championship game in the NFC.
Oh, I didn't know where you saw that. I got Packers since I had them in the Super Bowl. It'd be hard for them to miss that and make the Super Bowl. So I'll go Packers. Let's go Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. I'll go Tampa.
The NFC is not fun.
So from the wild card, Tampa Bay.
Yes, yeah. The seven-seeded Tampa Bay
that's right.
Bucks.
What do you have?
I think the Final Four is going to be so boring. I'm going to go Packers-Bucks because you want me to pick the Vikings? What are we doing here? I don't know. I got Packers-Bucks, but I hate it.
Yeah.
I got Packers-Niners. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, there's no good matchup. None of these are good.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers will throw as many postseason touchdowns as I did last year. So,
do we all have Chiefs-Bills for the AFC Championship game, or anybody something different?
Sure.
I wanted to put the Ravens in there somewhere, but I just went Chiefs-Bills because we're boring.
Yeah, I went Chiefs-Bills in Buffalo, and then I've got Buffalo over Green Bay.
Yeah, me too, I guess. But like,
I do hate the Chiefs now.
Total heel turn, right as that Juju under touchdown.
This doesn't make sense. This isn't even for money. You're just putting that out there. You should. I would figure you'd be homer on this pick above the others that involve an actual bet.
See, but it's what I actually believe. Okay. I do believe in those overs, and I think Buffalo's the best team in the NFL. So I'm going to go out on a limb and pick the team that I think is the best in the NFL as the season starts to win the Super Bowl.
I guess I'm going to be the homer then, and I'll say Chiefs
Good
over
for you.
Bucks.
Chiefs
Good for you.
over
Ooh,
Packers.
got the rematch?
Yeah. Why
Chiefs
not?
over Packers.
You think Tom Brady's coming back to the NFL to not make the Super Bowl?
I love it, dude. I
his
love
plans
that
are
logic.
to make the Super Bowl. I bet.
Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna. So then I'll say
at least make the Super Bowl.
I'll go Bills Bucks. So we have a little diversity.
I
there.
thought about that for a second.
I'll take that one
Bills
from
Bucks.
you.
So Beards and Mick have Super Bowl rematches.
Yeah, I just think that's pretty unlikely, but
you got
the Packers.
Chiefs Packers.
Yeah, the
yeah,
Packers.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. I believe they faced off in the Super Bowl once before.
Got you, Mick. Do you know that in Super Bowl I, actually, it was the Chiefs and the Packers that faced off?
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts.
your time to find the funny, and maybe eventually it'll come around and sneak up on you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, let's get into all the cuts that we're able to get into with that crazy
singular.
last hour with the press conferences. Let's cut it away, Beards. What are the cuts, huh?
A lot of the time, there are these little perch or whatever, little fish that'll come and get you. And I look down at one point, and one swims up and just starts tearing apart my nipple. And it is on there. And I swatted with my right hand, and it's still on. I swatted with my left, and it finally came off. And it was red. My nipple was red the rest of the day.
Did you get that fish's number?
There we go. There's the cuts.
That was it.
That's all we had time for.
A couple weeks ago, too, wasn't it?
No, that was from Monday.
Next week.
That was Monday?
Monday was Labor Day, dude.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that
So
was
it's from
last
last
week.
Monday.
I think it's
from
Friday.
Oh, it's
Next
Friday,
week's
so it
Friday.
still counts.
Double edition. Double feature next week.
Double cuts. We're going to cut it up. Talk to you guys Monday.
Hey, this.